Welcome to the PODcast, the Pride of Detroit podcast, available on all of your podcasting platforms and live on youtube.com/@Pride of Detroit and twitch.tv/Pride of Detroit. Coming up on this week's show, we are going to talk about the NFL Top 100, which is currently unveiling right now in a very slow and steady manner. We'll talk about what lines we think are going to make on the list, what lines we think might make the list down the line. And then we're going to rank the NFC offensive linemen as part of our ongoing list cast series. But before we get into any of that, there is some housekeeping that we need to address, and I'll bring in Ryan Matthews, senior editor, Pride of Detroit. You can find him at Ryan_POD. By the way, I'm Jeremy Reisman. You can find me at Detroit Online. As many of you may have already heard, the Pride of Detroit podcast and Chris Perfett have parted ways. Chris has been the lifeblood of this podcast for a very long time. He was literally the creator of the podcast. It was his idea to create back when there weren't a lot of Detroit Lions podcasts around. Took the initiative to do that as kind of a newbie at Pride of Detroit. Took it to new heights, found a comfortable groove between Ryan and myself after a while. We're obviously indebted to everything that he's done over the past 10 years. One of the things that I think maybe goes underappreciated about what he did was the technical care. Back in 2015, there weren't a lot of Detroit Lions podcasts out there. But you could tell the amateur ones from the professional ones. Chris made it a priority to make sure that we sounded good. Maybe what we were saying didn't make any sense, but he made sure that it sounded good. So, if you want to continue to support Chris, there are ways to do that. You can follow him at Chris Perfett on social media. He's obviously still over on Fox Sports Network Radio. You can, serving various roles over there. And of course, he also has a Twitch at twitch.tv/NoDecaf. That's NODEKAF. But Ryan, this is kind of turning over a new leaf, starting a new chapter here in Pride of Detroit. And we're really, really excited about what's next.
Yeah. We're, like you said, totally in debt to the 10 plus years that Chris put in here at the podcast. I was on the very first episode of that podcast. So it's been a long journey, but we're excited for what's to come next. And we're excited to bring in Miko Scott. You may know him from his time over there on YouTube. He's the content creator for Pride of Detroit. You can find him at the Miko Scott on Twitter. Miko, so happy to have you here, bud. We're excited to have somebody who is full of energy and is enthusiastic and inspired to talk about the Lions.
Dude, I'm beyond excited to be here with you guys. Just to kind of echo a lot of the things that Jeremy said about Chris. Extremely appreciative of everything that Chris has done for this podcast. If not for like a lot of the technical work that Chris did, and like you guys are saying, him helping to start this podcast, I never find out about you guys, and I'm never able to have an opportunity like this. So I'm extremely appreciative, and as someone who's done a little bit of the technical side on the YouTube side of things, I understand how much work and effort that goes into making sure that things get uploaded, making sure that things are high quality. So the fact that Chris was able to do that for over 10 years is something to really, tip your hat to. But like you guys said, I'm super excited to be in this position. It's a dream come true. It's one of the things I'm pretty sure I said when I first joined the staff, just doing YouTube, was that it was a dream come true. This is a dream on top of a dream. To be able to be here with you guys to talk about the team I love, and to just like you guys said, reach new heights and to take this a step further. So super excited.
Yeah, well, like Ryan said, I echo everything he said. We're really excited of you taking over the adequate host role. Jeez, you can tell I'm not prepared for it. So I am really excited to see kind of how the podcast shifts, our dynamics change, because it's a new era and people have different kind of balances with each other, and I'm really excited to see how it works out.
I'm excited just to add a little bit more melanin to the show. So we'll see how that
there you go. That works.
We'll see how that dynamic kind of just shakes things up a little bit. But no, I've obviously got to hang out with you guys in other spaces, so I think it's gonna be a great partnership between the three of us.
They're gonna need a new meme, Jeremy, for the same three guys on every podcast.
That's right. That's very true. But you guys ready to talk a little Lions football here?
Yeah.
All right.
off-season Lions football lists. It's what we do over
That's
here.
all we can do at this point.
At least for just like another couple weeks. But like you guys, like you said at the beginning of this, Jeremy, the NFL is rolling out their top 100 list, and I think for me personally, this is one of the more legitimate lists that get rolled out because it is based off of what the players think of their peers, and no matter what space you operate in, there's no greater like stamp of approval than what your peers think of you. And so the fact that the NFL does this every year, I always really enjoy it. I do feel like you said like it's rolling out a little slower than we are a little accustomed to. But with that said, the Lions do have their first player on the list with Sam Laporta coming in at number 96. Ryan, I'll start with you. What do you make of Sam coming in a little bit lower than he was last year, but coming in on the list at number 96?
Yeah, I'm not surprised that Sam clocked in as low on the list as he did. Actually, a little bit surprised that he still hung on to that spot in the top 100 because there was this kind of sense that maybe he took a step back this year by raw volume, Jeremy, right? Like that's the thing is people are like, well, less catches, less touchdown, I mean, like, is Sam Laporta still a big part of this offense? And I can say unequivocally yes. Right. And he is. I mean, the way that he upped his game last year was that he just became a more efficient version of himself. Like, I mean, his yards per reception jumped from 10.3 to 12.1. He cleaned up his hands. He had 7 drops his rookie season. He just had 1 last year. I mean, he became more efficient. He had a better passer rating when targeted. His contested catch rate went up. More explosive plays from his rookie season. He just became a more efficient version of himself. But Jeremy, that doesn't help you rise up the list.
No,
100 catch season puts you on top of the list. A 1,500 yard put,
right.
Right.
I mean, a Brock Bowers season, right? Like
right.
It kind of feels like the future of the tight end that belonged to Sam Laporta after his incredible rookie season now got pushed over to Brock Bowers, who had almost 1,200 yards his rookie season. So it's like, I can see why he gets pushed on the list. I'm kind of like you, where I'm like, I kind of viewed him as maybe he's going to make this year's list. Maybe he's not, considering he was kind of on the fringe last year in a way. But, the way they're talking about him this offseason, it kind of feels like he's going to be right back into the conversation, maybe back into maybe top 70-ish next year, assuming everything goes well.
Not rehabbing this offseason, right? That's another thing with Sam Laporta, not rehabbing the ankle injury that he suffered at the end of the season finale in 2023. So,
absolutely. And let me just course correct. I did say number 96. He came in at number 94. So I slided him 2 spots. But still, it's a little lower than he was last year. But with that said, with Sam being the first Lion to make it last year, like this Lions offense was highly prolific. And whether it's just the offensive players or you look at some of the defensive players that may make this list, like the Lions should still expect a good amount of people to be on this list, right, Jeremy?
I would think so. I mean, they had 5 on the list last year. I think it's going to be more this year. I think maybe the highest rated guy might be Jahmyr Gibbs, who didn't make the list last year. Sometimes the NFL tweets out or Instagrams out pictures of players' as top 20 lists, the ones that are actually submitted, and I saw a couple with Gibbs in the top 15. I think he plays a noticeable position. He had an incredible season. The NFL executives that poll at ESPN have him as the 3rd best running back in the NFL, and so I think he's going to make a debut. Probably push that to 6. That is because. I was looking back at some of the stuff that we had written last year about the top 100, and I'm like, one of the snubs is Frank Ragnow. Well, he's not getting added to the list this year. I don't think so, but I'm also kind of curious how they're going to treat that, right? Because these are voted on towards the end of last season. So if Frank Ragnow had enough votes to be in the top 100, do you just take him out? I don't know how that works.
That doesn't seem fair. Let's give Frank his flowers on the way out. That seems like the just thing to do.
I don't think it's going to happen though.
I don't know. That's what makes this list confusing, because it does happen in the off season, but it is, like you said, Jeremy, it's voted on near the end of the 2024 season. So it's a lot of impressions of what guys have done in that previous season. So to Ryan's point, if Frank has any case to make this list, I think that's where you could definitely see him make the list. You mentioned again that 5 players made the list last year. Those players were Sam Laporta coming in at number 80, Jared Goff came in at number 48, Aiden Hutchinson came in at 47, Amon-Ra St. Brown came in at 23, and then Penei Sewell cracked the top 25 at number 22. When you look at those guys that made the list last year, Ryan, do you see anybody going any higher than they were the year before? And is there anyone that you probably look at and like, that guy might see himself slide a little bit? We already talked about Sam Laporta obviously having that slide. Anybody else?
Again, I think it depends on when exactly the voting happens
Right.
to determine that. I mean, I could see Jared Goff being right around the same spot, maybe like 45 to 55 range.
Yeah.
I don't see, but it's interesting with a lot of the quote unquote middle of the road quarterbacks, the variance in the top 100 lists that they can take, right? Um, Hutchinson, though, is probably the most interesting case study
Yeah.
because much like every national writer, Jeremy, people forgot about what Aiden Hutchinson was doing through the first 6 weeks of the season. Is that factoring into a lot of people's list? I can't remember too many of those top lists I saw with the top 20 seeing Aiden Hutchinson's name.
Right.
What do you think? Do you think that he sits around 47-ish like he came in on last year's list, or do you think he goes up the list?
I'm gonna press my luck here and say he's gonna be higher, just because of how dominant he was in those first 5 games. I mean, he led the NFL in sacks at that point, and he still did like for another 2 weeks after that. And I think
Pressures.
players notice that. Yeah, pressures. I don't know how much players are looking at PFF pressures and things like that, but I do think he did enough to really launch himself into a top 5 pass rusher conversation, right? Like, I don't think he was necessarily there after a really good 2023 season, but I think small sample size, whatever, I do think people look at him as a little bit differently after that start to the season. So it wouldn't surprise me. The issue is, again, like you said, when was this pulled? If this is pulled in December, have people completely forgotten about Aiden Hutchinson? Are they just looking at sack lists in December where Aiden Hutchinson is going to be further down? I don't know, but I think he might be a little bit higher this year.
And where did you go to college?
That's not, I mean, not important.
Not factoring into your answer right now. I understand like both of your guys' point in terms of like Hutch maybe being a little bit higher. I do think he's probably going to slide a bit just because of the volume, right? Like 5 games, yes, you were dominant for those 5 games, and I think that's enough to have you make the top 100. But I don't know if I can put you in the top 50 when you only got to play 5 weeks of the season, right?
See,
And other guys went out there and performed for the entirety of it.
you're already getting it. The best ability, Miko. Availability. You get it.
Mm-hmm.
You're
But
fitting in
it
just
is
fine.
it is a 2025 list. It is who are the best guys for 2025 theoretically, but it is voted on in 2024 or either really late or really early 2025 potentially.
I can say that I don't see St. Brown going any higher on this list. I don't know if he
Yeah.
has a great reputation around the league with other players.
Well, we know one player has certain thoughts about what kind of merchant he is, but yeah, no, I think 23 kind of feels like
Almost
topping
feels like
out
a
for him.
ceiling,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like Panay is probably the one that has probably like the best chance of getting a little bit higher as he continues to really ascend as an offensive lineman. And we're, throughout this entire offseason, if you were talking about tackles or any type of debate between who are the best tackles, it was a lot of conversation about him and Lane Johnson of like who's the best right tackle or the best pure tackle in football. So with Panay rising, I just kind of feel like he should be, inking into like the top 15 type of conversation at this point.
I'm gonna say he's for sure top 20, Jeremy.
yeah. I don't know. Like, there is part of me that wonders if the Detroit local perception of Penei Sewell is very different from the national perspective because of some of those Lane Johnson debates that were on Twitter, a week or two ago. There are a lot of good offensive tackles out there, and he's still relatively young. Whereas I think a lot of these lists, you'll see some grandfathered players, right? Some guys, especially on the offensive line, where it's just you can't point to statistics. You're just like, oh, well, this guy has been an elite tackle for 6 years. Of course, I'm still going to have him in my top 20. I think it's just harder for those guys to eventually climb up the list, but Penei Sewell is certainly doing everything he can, and so a mild bump into the top 20 would not surprise me. Top 15 would be pretty surprising to me, I think.
Yeah, and with that said, that leaves us with like the newcomers, right? Jeremy, you already talked about Jahmyr Gibbs possibly being that guy that probably cracks it, and it goes a lot to what he performed with last year and how people are viewing him now. But there are a couple other lines that could be, newcomers to this list. We talk about Kirby Joseph after him having his first All-Pro season. You talk about Brian Branch possibly maybe being on the fringe of making a list like this, getting his first Pro Bowl nod. Do you see either of those guys kind of cracking the list, and do either of you kind of have an idea of where you think they probably slot in the top 100? Jeremy, I'll start with you.
I think Kirby Joseph amongst those two probably has the best chance, just because it's a stat-based world, especially when you're in the secondary, and when you lead the league in interceptions, that's going to take notice. And that wasn't like a late surge from him. That was something he was kind of always at the top of that list. And so no matter when this list was created, I think Kirby was right there in the conversation. The problem is, again, like, it's a 1 year type of thing with him now. I'm not saying he wasn't good in his rookie season or he wasn't good the following year, but again, like, it's a grandfathered thing where there are a lot of really good safeties out there right now. And so where I'd place him on the list, I'd be surprised if he's outside of the top, or outside of like 80 to 100. That's kind of where I think he's going to land. Again, I think it's just going to take a little bit of time for him to gather more of a reputation to climb into maybe a top 50 type player, even though I think, he's maybe in that conversation already. I think just the reputation quite isn't there yet. So, like, I'm going to guess like 82. 82 seems good for him.
Yeah, he's also kind of earned a reputation with some people around the league, though,
True.
being not a slot merchant, but a knee merchant. So I think that factors into things, right? Like, I think, when you talk about a guy being voted onto a list by his peers, that's something else to take into consideration. I think I'm with you, Jeremy. I think somewhere between like 75 and 100 would be a place for a guy who, again, the interceptions do a lot of the telling. And for a guy, if he doesn't make this list and he led the league in interceptions,
Be wild.
then what I said really rings true, and people really don't like Kirby Joseph. So he fits right into Detroit, Miko. Like, Detroit sports just loves having guys who you love him on your team, but you can't stand him if he's not.
You were getting dangerously close to saying Detroit versus everybody, Ryan.
Well, no, that was the opposite of the argument you were talking about with offensive linemen. Like,
Yeah.
Frank's never been on this list.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
And then, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, one of the top centers at his position, but he never made the top 100 list. What's going on?
That though is why I think Brian Branch has like a better chance of also making this list. Again, not super high, probably in that same range as Kirby, maybe a couple slots lower. Is BB plays the position at a really, really high level. And like you said, Jeremy, there are a lot of talented safeties, but while he didn't lead the league in interceptions, there was a portion of that season last year where him and Kirby were like neck and neck in terms of creating turnovers and things of that nature. And I think one of the reasons why people feel so confident about this secondary, yes, you have a ball hawk in Kirby Joseph, but you have a guy in Brian Branch that does a lot of everything. And we're talking about this being his first season at safety full time. Like, this is, I think people forget that too. Like, BB went from playing nickel his rookie year to playing safety and got a Pro Bowl nod in that season. That speaks volumes, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I know if Eric Schlitt is listening, he thinks that Brian Branch is the best safety on the team, and so he would campaign to have him on this list. I just think if it's a national list like this, you have to have the stats to back it up. And while you're right, 100% Miko, he was keeping pace with him for the first 2 months of the season. He got overshadowed by Curb, like he just did. And so I think Brian Branch falls into the category of what we're about to talk about, which is players that probably aren't going to make the list, but have a really good chance of making the list down the line.
Who do you guys think is going to be? Who do you think JMO has a chance? That's just the question I want to ask. Like, when I proposed this,
he was
idea,
bound to come up for sure.
Yeah, we can't go one podcast without talking about it. But, like, do you feel like there's any shot this year that he makes a case to be a top 100 NFL player?
What do you think, Miko?
Yes, because and this is why I'll say yes. If Tyreek Hill can do it off of speed alone, like primarily off of just being one of the fastest, most like explosive receivers in the NFL, JMO has that in the bag. And if we're talking about him being a greater focus of this offense going into the season, that's really been the hype around him, is that he's going to be more, highlighted. They are going to try and get him the ball in his hands more. You tell me that JMO goes over 1,200 yards or something like that, racks up 7-8 touchdowns, that he's not a top 100 player. and he continues to do the things that we've seen him do just in like a larger dosage, I think he's going to gain a lot of respect across the league and amongst his peers of being like a dude that you just don't want to see on Sundays or Monday or Thursday or any other day of the week.
Christmas Day.
Oh God, why you got to bring that up? I think Jamo's got a shot. I'd be interested to see, and I haven't looked this up past lists, like how many, and maybe it's not fair to categorize him like this, but how many wide receiver twos ever make this list? But again, like maybe it's not fair. If he's going to make this list, it's going to be more of a 1A, 1B type of dynamic, right, between him and Amon-Ra. So maybe that's not completely fair, but I think the thing that stands in Jamo's way the most is just the myriad of options that Jared Goff is going to have. He's going to throw it a lot to Sam Laporta. He's going to throw it a lot to Amon-Ra. He's going to throw it to Tim Patrick. Maybe he's going to throw it to Isaac Taslaw. Maybe he's going to throw it to Jahmyr Gibbs. And everyone's predicting this breakout season for Jamo, and we don't quite know what that looks like. I think it's probably, you can expect over 1,000 yards because that's what he did last year. But can you expect 1,500 yards? Can you expect double-digit touchdowns? I don't know. That's a lot to ask in a room that has a lot of mouths to feed.
It is. And I just did a little digging. Mm-hmm. I found that Philadelphia Eagles back-to-back years, A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith.
Yeah.
But I'd imagine they're probably the only team in the league that has two wide receivers on a list.
I would say Higgins and Chase probably are the other one.
Yeah.
But like
Maybe.
to your point, it is far and few between, right?
Yeah.
Like, because typically whoever the primary guy is overshadows everything, and it probably is viewed across the league as like, oh, the other guy that's probably eating is only eating because the other guy's there.
Right.
But in a case like Jamo and Saint are so drastically different in what they do.
Yep.
That like you can look at Jameson Williams and be like, no, that's 100% just raw talent pouring out of him that's helping him excel.
Yeah, that's fair.
Any other guys that you think might fall into this category of not on the list this year but has a chance in the future?
Do we think Jack Campbell has a chance of?
He came across my mind for sure. I almost feel like Alex Anzalone also just deserves to be on the list, but I don't think he will be and probably never will be. But, I mean, I don't think anything Jack Campbell has done yet has warranted him being in this discussion yet, but he's certainly been trending in the right direction. And, again, it's like it's a wholly unsatisfying answer and not a measure of true talent, but it's going to take stats. It's going to take interceptions. It's going to take fumble recovered and forced. It's going to take getting close to the league lead in tackles, which is silly because that's a dumb stat. Throw some sacks along the way, and then, you make a case there. But linebacker is just, it's one of those positions where I don't think stats do a good job telling the story, but it very much helps the perception of where you are in terms of value.
Yeah, that's fair. The other guy that came to mind was Aleem McNeil. The unfortunate thing is that he's only going to have about a half a season to play.
Yeah.
So maybe not in 2026. But then again, it's the inverse of the Aiden Hutchinson effect, right? Maybe you just get like a fire hose dosage of Aleem McNeil, and the defensive line is firing on all cylinders.
8 sacks in 7 games type of thing.
Yeah, like have a James Houston return.
Right.
Other than that, Terrion Arnold, it doesn't seem like maybe he's another year away at least.
Yeah.
And because we're going to talk about NFC North offensive line rankings in the second segment, I'm just going to say Isaac Taslaw because we have to talk about him on every podcast, and we're not going to talk about him next segment. So maybe somewhere down the line with him. But, I mean, when you had 5 guys on the list last year, you might have 6 guys on the list this year. Talk about the top 100 players in the NFL.
Yeah. You're supposed to only have 3.
Yeah.
Mathematically.
Right? Yeah. So it's impressive.
Yeah. You know what else is impressive?
That's pretty good. That's about a 6.8.
Righteous Felon Craft Jerky, which is, of course, once again, a sponsor of the Pride of Detroit podcast. It's the jerky that fuels Pride of Detroit. Each 2-ounce bag of jerky has 16 to 20 grams of protein, and each beef stick has 8 grams of protein. Trust me, if it's good enough for us and the Detroit Lions, it's good enough for you. Righteous Felon is based in Westchester, Pennsylvania. They use locally sourced, all-natural, black Angus beef. and prides itself on superior quality, revolutionary branding, and unique flavors that go beyond the stereotypical jerky offering. Ryan, what's your favorite flavor right now? And you can't say turkey jerky.
That's unfair. I guess then I'll just say Maryland Monroe.
Heck yeah. The
Old
crab
Bay seasoning.
Yes.
Come on.
I think you can only say crab seasoning because I don't know if it's officially Old Bay.
So it's a lot like saying get a new TV for the big game.
That's right. That's right. And the great thing about Righteous Felon, outside of the great taste, outside of the wonderful flavors, is, of course, that you can support the Pride of Detroit podcast and save a little change. Using the code POD15 at checkout, you can get 15% off at righteousfelon.com, not prideofdetroit.com. They don't give you beef jerky at all. So that, again, go to righteousfelon.com and enter code POD15 for 15% off. When we come back, it's Listcast time. We are talking more Listcast. Offensive line, the big uglies, a lot of changes happening on the offensive line in all four teams. We'll talk about it when we come back here on the PODcast. All right.
You fumbled that ad read so that next time I have to do it, I don't have to.
That's right.
I don't have to worry about.
I did it on purpose. I took the fall so that when you take over. Thanks everybody for hanging out. Who's in the live audience? I'm gonna get to reading some alerts here, and then we'll just hang out, talk about whatever. Let's start with Christian over on YouTube. Thank you for the subscription. Jay Suzarski, thank you for following on Twitch. RGA, thank you for the 31 months subscribed on Twitch. Ice Cecil 45 months says, wow. That's a lot of time. That's a long time. Irwin NCW 43 months says, bit of a bummer, but still here to support the PODcast. Appreciate that. LJB Ruff 62 months says, OMG, 5 years of off seasons, trades, crying, laughs, fist pumps. We've come a long way, but the journey ahead will be just as good. Certainly will be. Drew Falcon, the 29 months, is going to miss Chris on here. Throws a heart in the chat. And Rye is the Beast, a $2 super chat over on YouTube. Just says, hi, guys. There we go.
Guy.
Hi, guy.
What's up?
All right, we're through. Oh, my gosh, I'm sweating.
Are you?
I can't be.
Just say that you were doing up downs before the show.
That's right. I was doing up and downs. If you can't tell, I'm not in my current domicile, which I think is also throwing me off a little bit. I'm dog sitting and house sitting at the moment, and I took the opportunity to finally wear a green shirt on the show because I can't wear green shirts when I'm sitting in front of a green screen.
Right.
So that turned out apparently to be a poor decision because I don't know. I'm sweating through it now.
I feel your pain because I can't wear black shirts anytime I record because they literally my beard and my shirt blend together.
Right.
So you can just there's no some semblance of a neck at all.
No neck. Oh man, who are some of the greatest no neck football players?
Oh.
Ooh. I was gonna say we're talking about some of the greatest football players with the neck. Takeo Spikes comes to mind.
Yes.
The neck of all neck.
Well, Davis Mills.
Davis Mills is part
That's
giraffe.
a good one too, yeah.
Part giraffe.
Who, by the way, I was watching Reels the other day because, what else are you going to do with your time? Davis Mills is in the top 10 Houston Texan quarterbacks for passing touchdowns. But that list is insane because, they've only existed for, about less than 20 years.
I need to see this list now. Houston Texans QB TD leaders.
I'll tell you another thing. Brock Osweiler is on the list. Brian Hoyer is on the list.
Yeah, sure. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
That's a pitiful list.
Deshaun Watson is on that list.
Deshaun Watson is 2. I want to see if either Miko or Chat can get number 1. I imagine you might know, Ryan, since you've seen this list recently.
I know who it is, and I would have known who it was no matter what because he has better numbers than Eli Manning. But he's not going to make it into the Hall of Fame.
Matt Schaub?
It is Matt Schaub.
Matt Schaub.
124 touchdowns. Deshaun Watson has 104. JC guessed number 3, which is David Carr, who has 59. So we're already cutting everything in half of number 1 at this point. Stroud is already number 4.
I was gonna say, like, is CJ Stroud already like top 5?
Yeah. Yes. And Davis Mills is 5.
Top 5? Davis Mills?
Yeah. My favorite name on here is Sage Rosenfels.
That's a name.
I don't even remember who that is.
Yeah, he played for 3
Minnesota,
years,
right?
And he only played 10 games for the Texans. He went 6-4, 24 touchdowns, 23 interceptions. I mean, it's not bad.
Okay, so we can all say definitively that the most impressive thing about this list is that DeAndre Hopkins caught 54 touchdown passes from this cast of characters.
Yes. In an alternate dimension, DeAndre Hopkins has the best statistics of all time because I think he's
greater
that
than Jerry
good.
Rice.
Like, yeah. And that alternate dimension is anywhere but Houston.
Yeah, right? Maybe not Chicago.
I was gonna say the number of quarterbacks the number of receivers that you can say that about though. Like D-Hop, like imagine how good Andre Johnson would have been.
Yeah.
Had he been
You're talking about another Houston wide receiver.
That's what I'm saying though. Like that's
Yeah.
just like it seems to be their luck.
How many people you think nationally feel that way about Calvin Johnson?
Probably a good amount. But I mean, he had
Yeah, but
Stafford.
He had
and
a
now
great quarterback, right?
I was gonna say though, like if I feel like that point you're nitpicking though, because like you're probably saying like, oh, if you put Calvin with Tom Brady or Peyton, like that's literally like the only 2 people that you're talking about in my mind that you're like he would have had ridiculous numbers.
Like you have to put him on a winning team, right?
Right.
Yeah.
There's also a very different perception of Stafford now than when he was playing, right? Because I think that was
like
definitely
in Detroit.
Yeah, there was definitely a narrative while Calvin Johnson was playing that like, man, get that guy on a good team and his stats are going to be, not only are his stats going to be better, but like his reputation is going to be better because he's going to have Super Bowls to his name and things like that. But also like there was a fair amount of like Stafford's just forcing it to Calvin because there's no one else on the team.
Yeah.
The thing that's funny about that though is like, what do you think every other quarterback in the league would have been?
Right,
a 6'5" mutant out there,
right,
terrorizing corners and safeties.
But I think to your point, Miko, that's why a lot of people say like, oh, put him on, the Patriots with Tom Brady. Look what he did with Randy Moss when he was, in his 30s, right? It's like, imagine if he would have had Calvin Johnson.
Yeah, Calvin probably would have put up 3,000 yards receiving.
It's funny how Matthew Stafford's reputation, the greatest thing that improved his stock was just the day he got traded to Los Angeles. Like
I mean, he won a Super Bowl. I think that might be had a...
Oh, no, but I'm saying like how he was thought of nationally before the trade. Like as soon as that trade happens, it's like, oh, blessed by McVay.
Right.
Okay. Well, like Matthew
McVay's
Stafford's a made man.
Yeah, if he's willing to shell out that much for Matthew Stafford, maybe we need to relook at this Matthew Stafford guy.
Yeah.
I was gonna say like that didn't even take the Super Bowl. Like he was spit shined the minute that trade was official, and people were like, "Oh, like people were already saying that Los Angeles won the trade," and it's like you realize this is the same quarterback though that you guys were not giving credit for when they were at least like competitive. Right. But now all of a sudden it's like, oh, LA's has this massive upgrade. It still pisses me off.
Does it piss you off because it turned out to be right? Like,
oh no, I knew it was. It's one of those things when like you've been arguing with people for years.
Yes.
And like no one wants to acknowledge it, and all of a sudden, like you said, a slight change in scenery, and it's like, no, that's the same guy. That's the guy I've been watching. I don't know what you've been watching.
Right. My favorite now though is like, and I've mentioned this a couple times. I feel like Rams fans are going through what Lions fans were 10 years ago, because like now people are starting to forget Stafford a little bit, and they're like, oh, Stafford's still a top 5 quarterback. You guys aren't paying attention.
Like Rams fans are saying that.
Yeah. Like I'll see stuff written by Turf Show Times where I'm like, I swear I wrote that exact article 10 years ago.
It's like they definitely chat GPT that article, and they sourced a lot of it from something that all of us wrote at one point on the website, like Matthew Stafford's disrespected.
Yeah.
I wrote an article one Memorial Day weekend where I put Matthew Stafford on every other team in Madden to see how they would do. Oh,
that's right. That was a great series. I love that.
I did that, and then I think I did another article where uh, I took every other I took the top 10 running backs I think in the NFL and put them on the Lions because I was like, all Stafford needs is a running game. Like this is
That's
all
right.
he needs.
Yes. And now he kind of has one in LA. Like they had one of the worst running games I think his second year there.
Yeah.
I don't know. They've went through a lot of injuries at the running back position over in LA.
Mm-hmm. They have Kyron.
Yeah.
I was
They
gonna say, I like
Corum.
what they have in Kyron. Yeah, I like what they have in Kyron, and like he's solid. Their offensive line, it's like it is kind of resemblant of like what happened in Detroit, where it's like now that's the whole argument where it's like, hey, how about you guys just protect Matthew a little bit, and maybe they'll be competent.
Right.
Yeah. I like Kyron. I mean, he's no Jordan Mason, but
Hey, who was that second running back they have there? What was his name?
did you go to school with him?
Sorry. No, I'm not that young. I could have been his professor.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what I would have taught, but I could have been his professor.
Probably fast food.
Fast food? Is that you?
Fast food
Is that you?
history.
Is that you trying to transition into fast food talk now that Miko's here, just so we can like get a baseline of where he's at?
I feel like people need to at least know like somebody needs to request a list cast and they need like top 5 fast food restaurants. Like and Jeremy and I will just recap real quick and then we get to know a little bit more about Miko. So I'm just saying more list cast redemptions and ask things that you want to know about Miko.
That's actually a really good idea. Like this should just our breaks should just be Q&As about Miko.
I mean, I'm happy to talk about myself, I guess, in that regard. I will say I did watch your guys' episode where you guys were talking pizza, and I was fully with Ryan with Jets at number 1. I do have to revisit Cottage Inn though, because like I'm like
You do.
it's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been a good minute since I've last had it.
Okay, so I'm dealing with another technical difficulty here in that my mouse has run out of battery. I'm going to
No.
I'm going to run and try to find a battery in this house that I don't know where they keep their batteries real quick.
Oh, okay.
So you guys are going to have to carry for the next indeterminate amount of time.
However long it takes you to find a battery.
Yes. And
Okay.
I'm like 80% sure there's been a listcast request, but I can't scroll down to see it right now. So,
I'll take a look for it.
all right. I'll be right back.
J-Dubs. Oh, okay. Well, J-Dubs just said what Ryan said. So he does
fast food.
want your top 5 fast food spots.
And I'm assuming we're saying fast food as in they have to have a drive-through.
I think that's a good marker of a fast food restaurant. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. I feel like
Ooh.
that's fair criteria to use.
All right. I already know what my number 1 is. So
Okay.
it's literally everything. Working backwards is going to be tough.
Working backwards is tough. I will say while you think about that, I want to talk a little bit more about pizza because I got Little Caesars yesterday. And again, I'm just always so never disappointed. Like I know what I'm getting. I know I don't have to pay a lot. I think I spent $26 yesterday on pizza and we
Okay.
ate last night and we had lunch today. You know what I mean? And that's like a
Yeah.
family of 5 people, right? Like we had dinner and lunch for less than $30. I don't know how many places you're doing that at as far as carry out goes. You know what I mean? So
That's fair. I can't really get down with the pizza. Like it's one of those pizzas though, like if it's there, I will eat it. Like I'm not gonna
you're gonna
like
turn your nose
away.
at it, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not gonna run to spend my own money on it. But if I go to like a party or something like that and it's like, hey, there's some Little Caesars over there, all right, I'm gonna go grab a slice or two.
You
But
judge your
they're
company though. You judge your company if they bring in Little Caesars. You're like,
oh no, I guess it depends. Because it's what I expect at a kid's party. Like if I go to like
oh yes,
a kid's
100%.
birthday party,
Mm-hmm.
Little Caesars, and I'm like, all right, cool. This is baseline. This is what I expect. If you invite me out to like, hey, we're gonna have guys' night, and it's like, all right, cool, and I show up and it's Little Caesars, like, hey, what are we doing? Like, who didn't get paid this week?
Do we not respect one another? Is that
What like who needs help? Like it's that meme from what is it? The Best Man's Holiday when Terrence Howard is like, do you need some money?
yeah.
Like that's honestly how I will say though, and I don't know if they still have them, but the Little Caesars like pizza puffs, that was like one of the greatest like things that
Oh
they've
yeah,
ever dropped. Like those things are fantastic.
and like reasonably priced. I think they're like 3.99,
Mm-hmm.
and you get 4 of them.
Yeah.
It's solid.
Mm. All right. Time to lock in on.
On your
Okay.
list. I'm thinking about my list right now. I The thing is like McDonald's has to go in there somewhere. A lot in the same way that Jeremy mentioned certain position players like offensive linemen getting grandfathered into the top 100 list. Like I have to keep
Yeah,
McDonald's in there just because it's like
that's fair.
synonymous with fast food, right? Like it's available almost all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Their French fries are still like if they're made the right way and they're fresh,
Yeah.
they go toe to toe with anybody else's French fries. Their breakfast sandwiches are so good. Like there have been a lot of other fast food companies that have like dipped their toes in the breakfast realm,
Yeah.
and McDonald's is still just like number one to me. Like
And you got
the McChicken McGriddle I got the other day, Miko.
yeah.
I like come on, like who else is doing that?
Well, and I was gonna say you also got to factor in their fountain drinks. Like you're not gonna find a
It's
better
different,
Sprite
right?
anywhere,
Yeah, yeah.
right? High C orange,
Oh, dude,
goaded.
the amount of high C oranges I got in college. Yeah,
The fact that I was
you
ready
weren't
to,
getting anywhere else.
bro, I was ready to riot when they like discontinued. Like, hey, we're getting rid of this for Fanta
Yeah,
orange. Like, I thank you for Fanta orange. However, who the hell said we wanted to
yeah,
get rid of High C orange?
yeah. So that's what I mean though. Is like McDonald's just belongs on my list. It'd probably be at the bottom. It'd be a lot like Little Caesars. Like I had Little Caesars ranked number 5 for my pizza places, but it's just because like it's old reliable.
Yeah. No, that I'm glad you said that because I think that helped me round out my list. Because my top two, well, my top three are places where it's like if I see it, I gotta have it.
Like you have to like, oh, I saw it on the exit sign. Like we should get
Yeah,
off and get this. Yeah,
yeah. Like it's no matter what, like no matter how hungry I am, it's like I need that.
yeah,
Uh, and then four and five, it's like yeah, they're reliable, they're solid. I already know I'm gonna get something that's usually pretty good.
yeah.
Uh, so we can do this.
Okay,
So at five, I got McDonald's
okay.
because for every reason that you just said, like McDonald's is old reliable, like it's old faithful, where it's you
Mm-hmm.
know if I need first of all fries are fire. So if I want like really good fries, I'm willing to roll the dice at McDonald's, and if they are hot and fresh,
Yeah.
no one's touching these fries.
Right. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Like it's just non-negotiable. Um, four. I just had to like I'm literally making this audible as I was about to say it. I had Wendy's. I'm
Okay.
audibling to Culver's.
I When Jeremy puts his headphones in, I want his take on this, but I think that's a good audible. I'm wondering how much higher he has them on the list.
So we're talking fast food rankings.
Uh huh.
I got five I got McDonald's for
Okay.
just being consistent, like across the board. Like even when they're not great, like it's like you just kind of like take it on the chin, like all right, I rolled the dice, like hoping that I would get something good here, and it's like the fries are cold, the nuggets are cold, but like it's just part of the McDonald's experience sometimes. Um, and I just finished saying four. So I initially had Wendy's, but I audibled right before I said it, and I decided to go with Culver's instead.
Okay. I love Culver's.
I was wondering how much higher on your list that you had not thought at all because you're looking for a battery, but
Yeah. And end up
because I
having.
knew you like Culver's.
I do. It's probably my favorite fast food burger place that's in the Midwest.
Mm.
I probably have.
See,
Mm.
I think if we were, yeah, I see now. This would. It's funny that you say that because if we were just going burgers,
Yeah.
it probably is higher on my list
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like.
because a Culver's burger is solid.
If McDonald's is making my list, it's solely on breakfast. I don't want to
Yep.
eat there if it's not breakfast.
I, nuggets and the new chicken strips are really my
Are they?
go-to at McDonald's.
The
these
chicken
days.
strips
Those
good?
chicken strip, Yo, those are solid. I can't wait till they put those in snack wrap form.
Okay.
Did you have the chicken nuggies at Taco Bell? What was your take on
I
that?
those are really good.
They are really
Those
good.
are
Really?
yeah.
Yeah, they're really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trust me, I was skeptical too because I was like, there's no way anything in nugget form at Taco Bell is good. And I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing that's hard too about putting a top 5 list is some of the menu items that have gone by the wayside. Like I think
Right.
Taco Bell
Mhm.
would be in my top 5, but like they don't serve empanadas anymore. And like a
That's
point
a make or break for you?
well for me because when you were gone we were talking about and I brought up like McDonald's is 1 fries, 2 breakfast. Like like so many other places have tried breakfast foods and like they just don't match up with McDonald's. And then Miko's point was like they're fountain drinks. Like McDonald's fountain drinks are just different than other places. So like
Yeah.
the thing about going to Culver's is like you can get a great burger and then get like one of those concrete mixers. So like
Mhm.
they do everything really really good. Like great even, right?
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
you could have a meal and dessert at Culver's. McDonald's, like I don't know, ice cream machine's probably down. You know,
Not even probably. Like again,
Likely.
more likely than not.
Yeah. I don't know how I'm ever going to do the McJamo shake, by the way, because I'm going to have to find a McDonald's that actually has
Yeah.
a McFlurry machine working.
McFlurry machine. Yeah. So that's the thing is like with Taco Bell, like man, but they've just done some things wrong, right, Jeremy? Like
Bring back the frutista and the empanada. We can have a conversation.
Ooh, Frutista.
yeah, Frutisa. I haven't thought about those in a while.
Dang.
Me and Khalil were just talking about that the other day, and I was like, because we bought like a slushy maker, and I was like, hey, can you make frutistas at home? 'Cause I just want to go down a trip down memory lane. It was a good time.
Yeah.
Oh wow, yeah, that is a throwback. And then Jeremy, like part of his rankings have to 100% deal with the app too. Like how is your fast food app?
Yeah.
And McDonald's just have one of the better ones, and that's
They
why
do.
that's why they're in at 5. That's another reason why they're in at 5 for me. So all right, McDonald's, Culver's, 3 for me, and it's not readily available over here. But when I see one, I'm getting in the drive-through. Jack in the Box.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
we have some conversations here, Miko.
Yeah,
I lived in LA for 9 years and I was inundated by those. What do you love about them?
Honestly, everything. I mean,
Okay.
obviously the mini tacos.
Yeah.
Khalil and I fight over the mini. Like the first time we got them, because we went to California a couple years ago to go to Disneyland. We had heard about the mini tacos. I was like, "There's no way these are good." We got them. The next day, I had to order 2 different. Like I had to make 2 orders because neither of us were like we were sharing. They're that good.
Yeah, that piece of American cheese they put on it.
You both think this.
Bro, I don't know what it is. And I don't like
I like that it has
Someone
hot
said, like-
sauce. That's the nicest thing I can say about those tacos.
bro, I don't know what it is. Like it probably shouldn't be as good as it is, but like I was like, this is fantastic. I don't know if it's just because it's different. I don't have it. Yeah, Jack in the Box is 3 for me because if I see one, if they ever put one in Michigan, I'm pulling up.
When they put the Raisin Canes on Ford Road, I don't know, last year sometime, that was wild. I just drove by it one day, and it was lined up onto Ford Road, which is a terrible, like, that is already a congestion nightmare. I hope it wouldn't be that crazy for the Jack in the Box, but it probably would be.
It very well could be. What's your
this one might-
2, Miko?
Well, before I say 2, this might put me in like bad favor with some people. Raisin Cane's is overhyped. I'm sorry. You don't season your chicken.
Oh, dang. That's why you need to dunk it in a full large cup's worth of their sauce.
Yeah, so that you can get any semblance of flavor. Out here
love it.
tasting like paper.
Wow. I don't know if I strongly agree or disagree with you because I've only had it a couple times when I was down at the Senior Bowl. But I respected the quality of the chicken.
Yes, that's what makes it more frustrating.
Yeah.
Right? As a chicken connoisseur, like as much as I love to have certain chicken tenders, chicken like whatever.
Yeah.
If it looks good and I bite into it and I don't taste salt or pepper, bro, we gotta step outside.
So then
You
it
out here
just feels
catfishing
like it's
people.
being catfishing people. I was gonna say that's the thing that's frustrating about it is that it's like you have this like good piece of chicken and you're just not doing anything with it.
Just dunk it in the sauce.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sauce. I guess that's the point. Yeah.
Well, hold on, and this is the other reason why. So out on 14 in Van Dyke, there's a place called Uncle Joe's Chicken Fingers.
Okay.
Better version than Raising Cane's. The exact same like menu, like exact same style. Morgan, if Morgan was here, he would tell you guys exact same type of sauce, everything. They season their chicken. Like it's literally the only difference.
Going back to Jack in the Box real quick. Like I'm pulling up their website. The one thing that I respected about them is their late night menu, which is just like, let's throw a bunch of like kind of disgusting shit all together because you're essentially high and we got you.
Yeah.
And so like there's something called the T-Pain Munchie Meal with chicken taters, which is
chicken taters.
Like here, I'm gonna share my screen so you guys can see it and share it to everybody as well. Oh, just refreshed, but hold on. How do I share in Zoom? Share. There you go.
All right.
I don't know what this chicken burger thing is. It comes on a croissant, oddly enough.
A croissant?
Yeah. But you get...
This is not what I was expecting.
Curly fries, you get one of your dumb tacos, you get what is called a stuffed cookie. So I don't even know what that means, and a drink. And it's usually like $7.
I was fully expecting like some sort of like loaded fries with like chicken bites. This is drastically
Let me see
different.
what the chicken tater melt is. Croissant, Swiss, ranch, chicken patty, bacon, shredded cheese sauce, a hash brown.
Cheese sauce and ranch?
That dude, the things that
and cheese.
The things that just that item would do to your stomach alone.
As someone pointed out, 30 calories, a full day's worth of calories.
Oh, but the other thing too that I was more than impressed with was in the informational little rundown of all the things, how many T-Pain references they worked in.
It comes with a T-Pain air freshener? Why is
now I see why it's $12. I see why it's $12. Also a little disturbed about what that air freshener is.
Right? What does a T-Pain air freshener smell like? I don't know if I want to know what that is.
A regular drink.
Oh man.
But yeah, their late night menu is it's different.
You know what?
I respect that.
You know what Jack in the Box kind of reminds me of, like around here, is like Checkers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you'll end up there and they like their menu is just like, we have everything.
Right. Right.
I'm glad you said Checkers because Checkers comes in at number 2.
Wow.
Look at that.
Bro, the Big Buford is one of the greatest burgers in America.
I don't even know what that is. I mess with their buffalo chicken sandwich. That's pretty darn good.
Bro, that was so when you only have $5 and they're like, hey, 2 sandwiches for $5, you're just like, do I even need fries? Even though they're next to McDonald's fries. It's Checkers for me.
Really?
Checkers fries hit every time.
They got like heavily seasoned, right?
And I was gonna say that's what it all comes down to. You season your food. But fries, Big Buford, funnel cake fries,
the super loaded Buford.
Do you see their unbeatable meal deal?
What is that?
You get your choice of essentially a double cheeseburger or a spicy chicken sandwich. Then you get an order of fries, you get a drink, and you get a cinnamon apple pie for $4.
There's your empanada right there.
I know, it looks a lot like an empanada. It's basically an empanada. This is $4.
$4?
It's $4.
Yeah.
What Checkers are we meeting up after the show?
Yeah, this is not an ad, but
bro, it is
interesting.
Again, we're talking food places that have almost ended my marriage because I've decided to get something there, and Khalil was like, "You stopped at Checkers, and you didn't get me anything.
And you didn't let me know."
Well, this is what I love about this list too. Is like you're a pretty healthy guy. Like you're very
yeah.
like fit and consider all that sort of stuff. So you kind of like talking about your indulgences is I like it.
Bro, I was devastated. We had a Checkers that was not too far from us, and they got rid of it like during the pandemic.
Oh,
Silver lining, there's one like right around the corner from where like when I have to go into the office, and every week I eye it. And if it's not like you said, if it wasn't for the fact that I'm actually trying to like stay on track with my calories and stuff. Oh man,
that big Buford's calling your name.
bro, talking dirty to me.
Like the Green Goblin mask.
Wow, you're calling me a coward.
Now I'm trying to do process of elimination here at this point and try to figure out your number one. And
number one?
I don't even know if I have a guess.
I have an idea.
Do you want to try to guess? You want to write it down and see if it is what he says?
Yeah.
And again, I think this is probably another one that's going to irritate people. People are going to be mad.
It better not be what Dan Campbell just said. It better not be Burger King.
I'll let you finish. Go ahead.
I do. By the way, I like Burger King's burgers better than McDonald's, but I don't even know what they do. What I would deem good.
It's not Burger King.
Okay, good. Okay. Whew.
Favorite fast food place is Chick-fil-A.
That was what I was guessing. Hey, there you go.
Chick-fil-A is my especially now that I am trying to eat healthier. Like
yeah, you have
grilled
options
nuggets.
Mm-hmm.
Grilled nuggets slap. I love the unique Sunjoys that they do. Like that like kind of like line up with seasons. So like for the summer they're doing like a passion fruit or pineapple dragon fruit combination that is just fire. Breakfast slaps, spicy chicken biscuit, get a honey packet, not the kind that you need for late nights, but like just get some honey,
right?
Spicy chicken biscuit goes crazy. And yeah, I like the fact that I can be indulgent if I want to be indulgent, or I can be a little healthy, get a side salad that's like really good with like corn and beans and all the things. So Chick-fil-A has delivered. It's one of those places that like back in the day when we would get like those random commercials during like college football season, you'd be like, we don't even have that.
Right.
It actually lived up to the hype when I like tried it. Raising Cane's disappointed. Zaxby's kind of disappointed. Bojangles lived up to the hype, but like there's a lot of places that aren't in Michigan that you're just like, this doesn't hit like I thought it would.
I will say the one place that everybody said was incredible and you couldn't miss it and actually lived up to the hype was In-N-Out. Like going to In-N-Out and I was like, oh yeah, this place is.
I do love me.
I've got to get In-N-Out and eat it there.
Yeah.
Because one thing that I've heard a lot of people, is like you take that home and it just doesn't hit the same.
Yeah, we ate there, so that's funny you say that because yeah.
I think Chick-fil-A is a little bit overrated, but I'm with you on like good health options because I've gotten the grilled nuggets there before and like just like mix it up with some buffalo sauce.
Yeah,
I feel great about that. But I don't know, like I think part of it is just like it felt like culty a little bit. The people who were just like, oh my god,
oh yeah,
DTW has a Chick-fil-A, like, and I'm gonna go there all the time. Like, relax, it's airport food. Still.
It's an airport, yeah. Well, I remember they opened one when I was at Oakland University, so that was like that was the other one that first opened in Michigan. Yeah. It was the DTW one, and then there was one that opened inside Oakland University at the food court. And I remember the first day it was just out the back, so like I was like, that place probably sucks. I'm not going there.
Yeah.
Because I was like, everybody likes it. I'm in college. I'm a hipster.
Yeah, I think the first one I ever had was like one of our vacations to Florida. It was probably like our first vacation there as like adults, and I was like, "Yo, actually, it was DC. We were in DC, driving back from DC, and we saw it, and I was like, gotta have it. I've heard like nuggets are good. I heard Polynesian sauce is good. Let's see what the hype is." And Chick-fil-A changed like my perception on fast food because, like I said, like we're so used to McDonald's, Burger King, whatever. Like they just throw salt on everything. Right. Like it's salt and MSG, and that's what gets you like squared away. Getting chicken nuggets at Chick-fil-A and being like, hold on now, these have been marinating. Like I know quality chicken like that's been like actually like loved and cared for.
This
It
is
just
not
hasn't-
Raising Cane's.
No, no. This is chicken from the South. Like I understand. Like this is not Midwest chicken. This isn't like East Coast, just slapped together chicken. So yeah, no, I'm right there for it.
What's your number one, Jeremy?
That's a good question. I can't put Taco Bell there, even though it's like across everything, not just food. That is my guiltiest pleasure of everything. Like, I understand it's bad quality food, but it holds a place very near and dear to my heart, and I have a taste for it. So I mean, it's in contention, but I don't know. I tend to think In-N-Out might be my number one, and it sucks because I haven't had In-N-Out probably in 7 years, 8 years.
Yeah.
But it's very good.
Dude, Amanda and I saw the commercial for the crispy chicken, like tacos and burritos that Taco Bell's doing right now that they just rolled out.
Oh, I haven't seen
Oh yeah.
Me and Taco Bell are on a break right now. I'm still a little salty over their Lux boxes.
Man, this is another thing.
Their chicken cantina bowl is pretty good. So like
The chicken cantina menu is awesome.
Yeah, that is like my quote unquote healthy option. If I'm
too
like,
expensive,
if I need to eat
Isn't
something,
that like $13? Something crazy like that.
I don't know.
Let me get on and look at the price.
I don't look at prices. My wife is making good money on TikTok these days. I'm just
I'm real quick though. I'm looking at these crispy chicken tacos and burritos. I'm gonna get this soon at some point. Your choice of avocado ranch or spicy ranchero sauce.
Yeah, that's gonna be one of those days where I decide to just like kick my like, calorie goal and just be like, we're not gonna pay attention to the fats column this day.
I'm gonna work out for an extra 15 minutes.
I want to go to Checkers so bad right now, and I literally there's one 3 miles away. But I'm also so I'm staying in Oak Park right now, and there's so many new restaurants that I'm around now that I want to try the actual restaurants, not the fast food places that I'm nearby.
Yeah, you can get whenever you want. Yeah.
By the way, shout out Imperial in Ferndale. You know my takes on hot dogs, right, Ryan?
Refresh me.
Mostly a waste of time. A waste of time,
Okay.
a waste of space. I would never order a hot dog unless I'm at a baseball game. If I'm at a cookout, I'm getting a hamburger every time over a hot dog.
Okay.
This place does hot dogs different, and a lot of it is about toppings. You're just like loading it with a bunch of interesting flavors and things like that. But like the hot dog was also a little bit different. Like I'm trying to remember the one that I've got, the one I specifically got, and I should look and tell you guys.
What is it? What is it called?
Imperial in Ferndale. Also, like extremely affordable. It's kind of like a Mexican bar type place.
That's why I was thrown off because I was like,
Yeah.
Are you talking about the same place that I'm looking at right now? That is like a taco place?
It's tacos and hot dogs. So Sonoran hot dogs. I got what'd I get? I think I got the Bakersfield, which is bacon wrapped, barbecue chicken, pineapple, jalapeno, olive, onion relish, chipotle aioli, queso fresco, and cilantro. $7 for that.
Okay.
Which is reasonable. And then I got a taco as well, $4 for that. So like I got a hot dog and a taco for $11 at a like higher end restaurant.
Yeah. Chipotle aioli's like bursting onto the scene right now.
Yeah.
They got it on this I think it's a $5 meal deal. They have it Dunkin' where you get two wraps and a coffee for $5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tim
Chipotle
Hortons,
aioli on it.
Tim Hortons needs to step up their deal game.
I
prefer Tim Hortons, but the prices aren't.
Me too.
I was gonna say I saw someone saying in the chat, Shake Shack. Shake Shack is so overpriced. Like it's good.
Ooh,
I'm not spending that money
too. It's so weird for me that a place like that is overpriced because it feels like it's so unpopular that it's just like, don't you want to lower prices so more people are there?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, have you ever seen a Shake Shack? I mean, no. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of Steak and Shake. Shake
So,
Shack
Steak and
does
Shake-
kind of make itself look upper class, so it's not surprised to me that that's overpriced. But like Steak and Shake, I'd rather go there. Which I know is a
Unique
little bit of a
fries.
hot take. Yes, the shoestring, which
Yeah.
is, I don't know. I feel like people hate on shoestring. I don't really care. Like I can just dunk 4 of them at a time, and it's like a regular sized fry.
I was gonna say, like, shoestring fries to me are like my preferred fry for like ketchup dunking.
Yeah,
Like otherwise, I don't need ketchup for fries. Like, but those, it's just like, yeah, it's a nice little add.
Man, the last time I had Steak and Shake, I don't know if the one by Great Lakes Crossing is still open, but that's the one that like we would go to like whenever
Yeah.
we go to the mall. We'd
Yeah.
we'd stop there a lot. Their burgers are really good.
I
Their
do
shakes
like
live up
those.
to the name.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Their Oreo shake.
No, the shakes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fine.
there's
All right.
there's a steak and shake in Ipsy, and I've never seen a person in the parking lot, like 0 times.
That's how I feel about Burger King. The one closest to me finally closed, and like it's looked like it's been abandoned for like before COVID.
Yeah, I had what I thought was the worst Burger King I've ever seen in Plymouth. I don't know if that one still exists at this point or not, but it's terrible. And it still blows my mind that Alex Reno has tried to convince me there is like a really good Burger King by him. Like legitimately really good, so much better than the rest. It's somewhere in Westland. I've never been. I don't believe him. I think
He's lying.
I think there's just like a, I don't know, a Bermuda Triangle that he drives into.
Oh man, that's kind of how I feel though, Ryan, about like Arby's, where it's like you never really see, like you'll see like one random car driving out from an Arby's like drive-through.
No.
You're just like how are they still in business? But if you've been, best mozzarella sticks in the game.
Well,
Yeah, that's right. I said it, Jeremy. Yeah, I said it.
The only reason to go to an Arby's is the Jamocha Shake, and that's it.
Oh, all right. See, Arby's, they have little like they have little heaters. You know what I mean? It's like Mocha Shake.
They should change their name to that. Little Heaters.
Little heaters. Probably generate some interest.
What is it? Their King's Hawaiian fish sandwich.
Oh.
Fire.
Oh,
I would not trust a fish sandwich from Arby's.
Bro, that is the king of fish sandwiches.
Really?
Okay, because I always really liked the fish sandwich at Checkers.
Oh, that one's good. But something about the King's Hawaiian, the King's Hawaiian bun
I can't.
takes it up a level.
Okay, all right. I don't know. Now I have a reason to go to Arby's again. I always used to get their market fresh sandwiches. I don't know if you remember those,
Oh,
but they
yeah.
were
Oh,
like
kind of, yeah.
they were marketed as like being healthier. I mean, because they were essentially
They're just like deli sandwiches
Like
to
deli.
me.
Yes.
Like very
Yeah.
mid deli sandwiches.
nothing was fried on it. It was always like it was literally probably like turkey from like
Right.
a Hillshire Farms
Right.
like package that they're just throwing on there, right? Well, they would sell it to you for like $8 back in the day, and it was like, oh man, this is expensive.
Yeah.
And just dunk it in honey Dijon mustard, and it's not healthy anymore.
Yeah, I mean, my big issue with Arby's is the price. Like,
Yeah.
you can get 2 roast beef sandwiches for $7, and it comes with 3 slices totals of roast beef. And I'm just like, you're literally called Arby's roast beef. Put some
Yeah.
on your damn sandwiches. That's my stand-up bit, by the way.
What's the deal with Arby's? Where's the beef?
Anyways, I got a couple alerts to go through, and you want to get back into the show after
Yeah.
that, so that we can all
sounds good.
go to rallies after this.
Yeah, like, but is there a difference between rallies and checkers? They're the same, right?
They're the same.
They're exact same.
Okay.
I don't know what they call them here. Is it rallies? It's rallies, right?
I
Or
think
is
they
it
do both.
Do they both?
No,
Yeah.
it's checkers here. You can find a rallies like in certain places, but most places call it checkers up north. As you get more south, it's rallies.
Okay.
Good to know. Aaron S, a $10 super chat on YouTube says, "Hey guys, my brother passed away unexpectedly a few months ago at 33 and was a massive Lions fan. I know he'd love a shout out from Jeremy. His name was Sean Skur. Sorry to hear about that, Aaron. hopefully he's still watching you and watching this, and Lions fan forevers, right? Really appreciate you sharing that, and shout out Sean. Thanks for being a fan.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Chaos Cam, thank you for the 15 months subscribed on Twitch. Omnom, 25 months subscribed on Twitch. Says happy Monday, Victory Mondays can't come soon enough. Really happy to see you, Miko. Wizard 70, thank you for the 52 months, and Scarlett Jonas, thank you for the follow on Twitch. Okay, we are caught
Scarlett
up.
Johansson.
That's must be.
Wow.
Scarlett Johansson.
Maybe we can all be in the next Jurassic Park movie.
Would you want that?
It would definitely be an upgrade as far as the money I'm making, for sure.
Fair. When's the last Jurassic Park movie that you've seen?
I haven't seen any of the ones with Chris Pratt, so
I think I saw the first one, and that's it.
I was gonna say that was the last one I saw.
Yeah.
So the first one that had Chris Pratt in it was the last one I've seen.
How many of there was 3 original? It's like Jurassic Park 2, and Lost World? Or is Lost World 2?
I think Lost World is 2, and then there's Jurassic
World's-
Park 3.
Yeah. Because 3 was when they brought back the guy from
The
original.
first one, yeah, the OG
Yeah.
one, yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
Is Jeff Goldblum not in them anymore?
I don't
I think
know.
he was in one of them. I
One
think,
of the
like,
reboots.
second Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
The second Chris Pratt one.
They needed a name.
Yeah.
They needed a nostalgic callback. Yeah.
Right. That's all that is.
I prefer the Jeff Goldblum from Search Party.
Oh, Search Party. When you run into someone who's seen Search Party, it's an experience.
It is. Miko, have you ever seen Search Party?
No.
Okay.
I'm gonna let you guys know right now. I'm probably gonna disappoint you guys on certain movies.
You're not going to.
It's a TV show, but it's not anime, so you wouldn't have seen it.
I was gonna say I'm gonna disappoint you on that too. TV shows as well. Like I'm going to disappoint this audience when it's like, hey, Miko's not seen what, and it's like, nah.
We still have our anime base covered with you though, so that's
Yes.
good.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, through and through.
Which Ryan and I don't really do at all, but I don't. Do you, Ryan? I guess I've never really asked, but
No, but I didn't want to bring this up because I don't want to seem like a poser. HBO Max, and because my son is super into Batman right now, they have like a Batman like anime. It's like Batman versus Ninja or something like that.
Yeah.
It seems derogatory a little bit. I don't know. It seems like stereotyping. However, they had like a new one that just came out, and I was like, oh, I don't know, maybe like Teddy can watch this. And then like I watched the preview, and I was like, this is way too mature. And also it's in Japanese, so like he would probably be quite confused.
yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
tried
like-
to watch it, and I was like,
Yeah,
nah.
yeah, okay, all right, that's fair.
The name of it reminds me of was the Chappelle Show bit on the Last Samurai, starring Tom Cruise.
Yeah,
Well, I think like that's like I don't know. That's one of the things I don't like about it because it's not just like let's like take an approach of like it's old Japan but Batman. I think it's like something weird happens where like they get sent back in time and it's like rural Japan and he's Batman and everything is like just it's weird and I was like this is dumb. This is stupid. I don't like it.
Not a complexity that we need in a Batman story.
Nah.
All right, you guys
All right.
ready to get back to it?
Yeah, I'm hungry now.
Yep.
Okay, Miko, you're taking us out of break.
All right.
You good for that?
Do I get a countdown? Like how do we do this again?
You can do it. However much dead air you need to edit this is what you need, and then you just go into it. If you want to give us a countdown on your fingers, you can. If you want to just jump into it, that's cool too.
All right.
Now I'm going to change the text at the bottom while you do it.
Oh, do you want to tell me when you're done switching the text?
You're good. Sorry.
All right, welcome back to the Pride of Detroit POD cast. We have already talked about the top 100 lists. moving on to segment 2 of this show, guys, we are going to talk about the list cast that you guys have been doing, basically ranking different position groups in the NFC North. And today we finally get to the offensive lineman, which this one I think could be very interesting. You guys have already covered quarterbacks, running backs, and wide receivers, where you guys had the Lions near the top of the list, right? Obviously, first with quarterbacks, first with running backs, and then second with wide receivers. Offensive line, I think, is an interesting one where I'm very curious to see how you guys have this division shaking up. So, Jeremy, why don't you kick us off with what you think the NFC North is kind of set up as with these offensive line groups?
Yeah, I think maybe we might agree on number 4 again. Because to me it's kind of similar to where we were at wide receiver, where I think the Green Bay Packers have one or two guys that I'm like, you're pretty good, but I think they have more questions than answers on the offensive line. So they're my number 4. I obviously have a ton of respect for Zach Tom at right tackle. I think he's a stud. I think he's the second best right tackle in the division. I think he's probably a top 5 right tackle when it comes to the entire league. But, I think they have the weakest left tackle in the division in Rasheed Walker, who is a former 7th round pick. He's just kind of been okay. Obviously they add Sean Ryan. No, I'm sorry. Who did they add? Banks. They had Aaron Banks in free agency. Their left guard. He's coming off a torn MCL. So you always have to wonder how they're going to perform right out of an injury. And his stats, I don't know. They weren't outstanding. Obviously, like, if you're coming from San Francisco, you understand that they were going through a purge, and so like maybe you're getting players that wouldn't normally hit free agency, and maybe you can look at it as a savvy move from there. But in general, I think it's just kind of like a mid free agent signing. And then Eldon Jenkins is a guy who's played every position on the offensive line except for center. Like, he's played 4 or 5 games there. He started there, and it's not going to be completely foreign to him, but center is such a nuanced position that give me a guy who's played it for a very long time, not a guy where you're just like, maybe this is where he'll end up. Maybe this is where he'll line up. And so, I don't know. I'm just kind of unenthusiastic about most of that offensive line, and I think they're very much the clear number 4 on my list.
The one thing I want to know is, why isn't Jordan Morgan starting? He was their first round pick in 2024, and I think they're working him out at guard now. I know, like, originally there was the tackle potential. Like, I don't know if they still see that in him, but, like, I don't know. You draft a offensive lineman in the first round, you'd expect that at least by year 2 they'd be at the top of the depth chart.
Yeah.
I mean, so interesting to see how that'll play out, because I mean, imagine like taking a swing and a miss in the first round on an offensive lineman that late I mean, that can kind of set you back a little bit, and then you have to start plugging holes in free agency, which is where I think we'll get to, some other teams that are in the NFC North and how they kind of did that, and what you can like realistically expect in year 1 from a group that has kind of been Frankensteined on the front, right?
Yeah.
So I think I agree. I think the Packers are number 4 just because I don't know if they have a top 5 offensive lineman in the NFC North. Like,
I like Zach Tom a lot, but it's close.
It's fringe. Yeah. It's fringe, right? Like, there isn't a guy where I'm like, oh, like they have an identity because of this guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, where the Lions have that and the Vikings have that. Do the Bears have that? I don't know. But like, I think I'm there, Miko. I think I have the Packers 4th in the NFC North.
And just like that, I know my list is drastically different than both of yours.
Ooh, okay. I like this. Let's hear it.
So a little bit of backstory. I went into this honestly with the approach of, how do I not put the Lions as 4? Like, that was my mindset of like, why would I not put the Lions at 4? And currently, like, that's where I have them.
Okay.
I think they have, to Jeremy's point, if we were going by like individual linemen, Penei Sewell is by far the best offensive lineman in this division. But I can't put the responsibility and the belief of this entire group on the shoulders of one very uber talented young man. Like, I look at this group, and there's more question marks on this front at 3 key positions. Like, and one of those positions is occupied by a veteran in Graham Glasgow. But Ryan, could you tell me which version of Graham I'm getting this year? Am I getting 2023 Graham, or am I getting 2024 Graham? And can you also tell me where Graham's going to line up?
Right.
Well, I think the answer to the first question can be answered based on the second question. You know what I mean? Like, if I know where Graham is playing, I feel more comfortable about projecting how well he'll do this year.
Yeah.
Like, I think if he can play right guard this year, I think we're in a good spot. I think Jeremy, the big thing though is, I mean, Tate Ratledge, right? Like, is he the starting center? You have a starting center in the middle of your offense.
Yeah.
Who's the other guard? You know what I mean? Like, it kind of remains to be seen. I'm surprised though that you can put the Lions at 4 when they have Decker and Sewell. I think by far and away, I think they have the best, because I think it's a little bit. I think there's a little bit of an argument for best offensive lineman in the division.
Yeah. And
However,
tackle duos. Like, there are a couple teams with really good tackle duos. The Lions are certainly among them, and I would probably place them first, but
I think I'd put them number 1 based on our fast food discussion where we talked about McDonald's being number 5. Like, I can count on Taylor Decker to do his job.
yeah.
Better. You know, he'll be better more oftentimes than not, game in and game out. Like, I can trust that. So I just think 4 is. I get it. Like, I hear the questions.
Yeah.
And you don't know where everyone's lining up. It's just those two. Like, you start there with like being sure of your tackle spot.
Sure.
I don't know if I put him at 4 then, but
this is, and I definitely hear you there. While I am very confident at the tackle spot, we all know that the worst pressure to get in the NFL is pressure up the middle, and that is where you have the most question marks.
Sure.
Right? Like you just said, we don't know if Tate's going to play center or guard. We don't know if Graham's going to play center or guard. Are we sure Christian Mahogany, like what we saw was really good, but he played 75 snaps last year? Like, is that enough for you to feel like you're solid on the interior? And so that's why for me it's a little bit of a toss up at 4. But I will also say it has the, like, I think, and this is probably a theme for all of these teams, it has the potential to swing drastically for all of these teams just by how they play. And with, if 1 or 2 players play really well, things start to look very differently. So with that said, Ryan, who do you have as your number 3 spot?
I have the Chicago Bears at number 3. I do, because I need to see it.
Yeah.
Like, you get all of those moving pieces, especially like how you just highlighted along the interior of the offensive line. Like, Joe Tunney is a great player. How great is he going to be now in Chicago? Which Jonah Jackson are we getting? The Jonah Jackson that was good and then started to trail off in 2023 and then had a disaster of a season in 2024 where he was getting benched and they were trying him out at center and nothing's fitting. And now he's in Chicago, and I'm supposed to believe in the Ben Johnson bump for Jonah Jackson. And then Drew Dahlman, like, is, again, another free agent acquisition they got from Atlanta, who, according to some PFF grades, like, is a really good run blocker. But my thing is, like, I mean, he played 554 snaps last year. He doesn't have a proven track record, right? He's not a guy who is like, oh, like they're getting a guy who definitely projects to be like one of the best center in the NFL. Like, and I think he's being heralded as that, like, oh, the Bears got a steal. And then, you know, they got Jonah Jackson and Joe Tunney, and, you know, there's some things I like. I really like Darnell Wright. Like, I was a fan of Darnell Wright in the pre-draft process. I thought he was a slam dunk pick for them. What's going on at left tackle, Jeremy?
Well, Braxton Jones is a pretty good player. I like Braxton Jones a lot. This was a tough one between the Bears and the Lions, and luckily Miko took the bullet, putting the Lions 4th. I do have the Lions 3rd and the Bears 2nd. And for me, it's almost 2 different questions here, because if you're talking about which offensive line I think is going to perform better in 2025, I'm probably picking the Lions because the scheme is staying the same. I think they have better coaches. Meanwhile, if you're talking about who has the best players, I think it's the Bears. But does all of that come together in 2025 with like all these new pieces starting next to each other, an entirely new offense, a new quarterback? I don't know. I am a little bit skeptical of Dahlman too, where it's just like, I know the Atlanta Falcons were up against the cap a little bit this year too, but you really letting like an elite center, 26-year-old center go?
Just walk on by when you have a very young quarterback?
Right. Yeah, no, I don't think you do that. But to go back
inexperienced. Young,
Yeah,
young is the wrong word for Michael Penix,
right,
but yeah.
right. But with the Lions, and we're talking, we'll talk about PFF in a little bit. Like, I watched a little video of them kind of discussing their rankings, and the one thing that stuck with me with the Lions that I think probably deserves to be talked about. They're like, all right, who do you think were the three highest rated run blocking offensive linemen for the Lions last year? Penei Sewell, right? Giveaway. Frank Ragnow, Kevin Zeitler.
Yeah, Kevin Zeitler had like his
Yeah.
best year that he's ever had as a run blocker in Detroit.
Yes. And so
Which, I wonder.
probably helps to play between those two players, right? But now one of those players is gone and he's also gone. And so it's just the identity of this team is run blocking, and there are major questions at that exact spot. Now, I like Christian Mahogany a lot. I like Tate Ratledge a lot. Graham is, if he's back at right guard, which I think is probably most likely, it's right guard or center. Thankfully, I don't think we're going to see him at left guard. I think that's Christian Mahogany's job. But there's too many questions there for me to feel extremely confident. I think the future of that offensive line is bright, but I think there are just too many questions. There are just as many in Chicago, don't get me wrong, but I just think if you're looking at base talent in terms of guys that have proven it, guys that, you know, I mean, you have an all-pro in Tooney. You have a just maybe not as good, but a really good set of tackles, and a center that at least is experienced, right? Like, center is good. Experience at center is important, and it's something that the Lions might not have this year. So maybe that's the thing that gives me the edge of putting the Bears above the Lions, but it's very close. And like I said, it might be different if you're asking who performs better this year. I think it might still be the Lions, but I like the talent in Chicago. I think they made a lot of moves that make sense, just might not work right away.
And that's why for me, Jeremy, that's why the Bears were at 3 for me and not 4. Is that
Yeah.
I do like the talent a lot better outside of the tackles. Like I love Penei Sewell more than more than a Darnell Wright. I like and trust Taylor Decker a little bit more than what the Bears have there in Chicago. So, but it is that talent in the interior that's just like gets me on the same page as Ryan. Is like, no, that's 3 for me. And it is the only reason that they're not 2 or higher than 3 is because of the other thing that you said. They have to prove it. You can't just throw a bunch of talent together and expect it to all work out. I think we see that time and time again in sports, whether it's the NFL or the NBA or anywhere else, where people just think that they can just throw a bunch of talent together and put an offensive mind at the helm of it and be like, oh, this is all going to work out. And it's like, no, because whether it's fair or not, your quarterback play and your running back play is also going to kind of impede itself on the performance of your offensive line. And those are two other things that I'm just not sure about when it comes to Chicago and what type of stress that's going to put on this group that gave up the most sacks last year and was one of the worst offensive lines in giving up pressures. Now, again, retooled, but a lot of those sacks came because your quarterback it has timing issues.
Right.
Right, Ryan?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Frankenstein's a horror movie for a reason. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying, like, does it have the potential? Yes. But Kansas City, a team up against the cap. All right. Like, we have to make a decision. We're going to let the guard go. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that makes sense. And he still could be very good. He's 32. And I'm not saying that that's necessarily washed, right? Like, you'd still very much be in the prime of your career at 32 when I'm talking about, Tooney. But, like, I don't know. Like, I need to see it. I need to see it. And that's why for number 2, I have the Detroit Lions. Like, there's a drop off, and losing Frank Ragnow can't be sugarcoated. I jumped on YouTube and talked about it with you, Miko, and I talked to Morgan about like it's a huge loss. It's a massive loss, and the thought of going straight from Frank Ragnow to a second round draft pick who never played an NFL or a college snap at center, it's scary, and I just have too much trust in two things with the Lions. One, I already mentioned it, the tackle position. I feel really good about left tackle and right tackle, and Hank Fraley. Like, I trust that Hank Fraley, I mean, mentioned it when we were talking about Kevin Zeitler, had one of his best seasons that he's had in the past however many years. Is it no coincidence that he was playing under Hank Fraley and he got to play next to Penei Sewell and he got to play on that offensive line? I I just think Tate Ratledge is going to be really good too. And I think that they're going to put Tate Ratledge at the spot that he's going to be best at in year one. If that comes at a sacrifice, much like it did with Frank Ragnow in his rookie season where he played guard next to Graham, if Tate Ratledge is going to be an awesome guard in year one, but he's going to be a bit of a project at center in year one, play him at guard. Let him be awesome. I think he has, yeah, I think he has all the athleticism. He's got all the tools, Jeremy. That's why I have the Lions at 2. They could very well, to Miko's point, they could be number 1 at the end of the season, right? Like, if everything goes off without a hitch, well, you really do need to do everything you can to keep Hank Fraley in Detroit.
Right.
At that point, right?
No question.
Yeah, but I have the Lions at 2 for that reason. Like, I trust in Penei Sewell being 1A or 1B to the tackle that's at number 1 on my list, but
Yeah, I think that's why for me, I kind of went the other way. I went with Green Bay, and it's I understand what you're saying, Jeremy, when you started saying why you had them at 4, and Brian, you as well. It's a bunch of dudes that when I looked at the list, I was like, I don't know any of these guys. Like I know Zach Tom. I don't know anybody else. But when you go and you look at the numbers, while the names aren't recognizable, probably for most fans outside of Green Bay, this group still performed at a really high level when you talk about how this offense was able to perform both in the passing game and the run game. Like, we're talking about a really good unit that helped a Josh Jacobs, have such an explosive career his first year in Green Bay. And I don't think that's something that's going to change all that much. I think Green Bay has their issues. They, like, in terms of like coaching and like whatever they're going to be doing week in and week out, and like who is really QB1 over there.
Don't play to Ryan right now. Don't butter him up.
I'm trying to make a nice good first impression, but at the same time, I did. That is the thing that really kind of sold me on Green Bay at 2, is like, this was one of the better offenses in the NFL last year, and you don't get to do that with a bad offensive line. Whether you know the names or not, this group still found a way to keep their quarterback clean, not getting him sacked a ton, not having a bunch of pressures, and being prolific in both phases of the offense. And so that's why for me it's 2. But like we've been talking about, Jeremy, like, this list can be fluid. Anybody can move up to that number 1 spot, because I do think the margin of separation between a lot of these is just who's going to prove it this upcoming season.
Yeah, it's a really interesting point to make, because I have had this feeling about the Packers for a very long time, where they throw in 7th round picks and everything just seems to work out. They'll let, TJ Lang go. They'll let David Bakhtiari go because of his injury and just not lose a step. And it's interesting though, because like, if you look at PFF grades, like, the stats don't look that good for these guys. They're just okay. But if the offense is rolling, the offense is rolling, right? They had, like you said, they had a really good running game. They had a top 5 offense by most DVOA metrics and things like that. So something's working. I don't understand it. Maybe they're allowed to hold more than other teams. That's what I want to go with, because why not?
There's another Detroit versus everybody
right.
bingo sheet. It's like Green Bay, right? Like, they don't care about run defense. That's why they're always 32nd
right.
run defense DVOA. It's just like, oh, it's baked in. They're gonna have great offensive line play. And
it doesn't make sense to me, because it doesn't, like, even watching the games, it doesn't seem like it's working, but it's working. And I don't some dark magic over there in Lambeau. That's my only explanation.
I think, to Miko's point with the Lions being at 4 and me having them at 2, it really all does hinge on the interior of the offensive line and how well they can keep Jared Goff upright.
Right.
And you look at a team like Chicago that did give up a lot of sacks last year. Well, how much is that on Caleb Williams? How much of that is on a rookie quarterback who had he had a taste for doing that in college, right? Extending plays and trying to do extra when you just need to make the right pass. Is Ben Johnson going to be able to coach that out of them? Well, then all of a sudden their offensive line numbers look great, because, Caleb Williams isn't getting sacked a bunch, and, things like that. So, how do we feel about the Vikings offensive line, though? Because, like,
apparently we all have them won, right? That's process of elimination. I think we all have them won.
The interesting thing about that, though, is Christian Darrisaw, right? Like, is he going to be ready in week 1? It seems like, they're obviously going to be careful with him because, as I mentioned, I think him and Sewell are kind of 1A and 1B, and I don't want to get beat up for that by Morgan the next time we all meet up
I'm
and
telling you.
hang out with one another. He's incredible. Like losing Darisaw last year was a huge blow to that
No
team,
question.
and they just kept on chugging right along.
Yeah.
Right? Like they even lost who's the guard that they lost last year? Was it Will Freeze? Like he was having a great year and he went down in week 5. Like
Freeze they added in free agency this year, right?
Yeah.
was
Yep.
free
Freeze and
Freeze-
Ryan Kelly, like they poached 2 interior Colts
That's right.
offensive line, but that is I think that's kind of like the biggest question with the Vikings, right? Is you have Darisaw, you have Freeze, both those guys are coming off of major injuries, right? And you never know how those guys are going to respond. As I was saying a couple shows ago, that first year off an injury is very rarely your best year. And so you have 2 pieces that are, key cogs to your offensive line, but you just never know if it's going to be at their best this year.
And I think that's the thing for me of why I did have that one is like, yes, they do have some turnover just like the Lions do, just like the Bears do.
Yeah.
But I think the floor for those players is just so much higher where it's
Right.
like, even if Christian Darrisaw isn't as great as he was, like, do we really think he's going to take that big of a step back? Will Fries has been so good in his career. Like, do we think the drop off is going to be that steep to where the Vikings still can't go out there and have a really high performing offense, at least in the passing game? They definitely have to shore up things. They're going to have to prove it as far as like a rushing attack. But passing wise, like I like the pieces there, and it's just there's enough there for me to feel like, okay, yeah, this is still one of the top groups, especially when that's how they finished the season last year, Ryan.
Yeah. And Donovan Jackson, like how does he fit in? Right? Like you draft a guard in the first round. I mean, highly touted coming out of Ohio State, right? Um, I like that pick. It's better than Green Bay taking a offensive lineman in the first round, and he's still not at the top of the depth chart. So,
Right.
is that just a fact of we need somebody, so you're there by default? I don't think that's the case at all. I think he was a guy that Lions fans, I remember pre-draft process, they were like, I mean, that's a guy that you could consider in the first round,
Yep.
right? Taking a Donovan
Mhm.
Jackson when the Lions, when everybody still thought everything was great with Frank Ragnow in the middle of their offensive line. So
Simpler
it's just
times.
really about simpler times, better times. When I guess that's a question I want to ask you guys. If Frank Ragnow doesn't retire, the Detroit Lions are at the top of everybody's list, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you've got your starters at the most important positions set, and all very, very good. And then you're starting a guy who looked really good in Christian Mahogany and either Graham Glasgow or fill in the blank.
Sure. Or Tate Ratledge, who they
Right.
drafted, right? Like,
Right.
yeah.
That's a
But
really solid offensive line.
it is the depth though too, and this is something we didn't really get into because I mean, on a surface level, right? Like you only know so much about the offensive lines of all the teams
Yeah.
in the NFL, but like when it comes to the depth, I think the Lions have a chance to like have the best depth in the division if we see a step from Gio, right? If
Yeah.
they did draft Miles Frazier. Like they have some depth on the interior of the offensive line. You just hope they have the top end talent,
Right.
right? And
Yes.
that's the thing. So I think that's something that was like semi baked into my rankings as well. Was like looking at the depth chart real quick and being like, okay, like do they have an opportunity to plug a guy in and like not fall off a cliff?
I think what's fascinating about all these 3 teams, and it didn't really hit me until we started discussing, is like everyone is going through interior offensive lineman change.
Yeah,
Like
wow,
that
yeah.
is that is the big, like whoever figures that out first, that's going to be the team that finishes these rankings first, because the Vikings will be starting 3 new guys there, 2 veterans and a rookie. The Lions are probably going to start 3 different guys in terms of like different spaces on their team. The Bears. Yeah, you 3 new guys, and who knows how Jonah Jackson and Tooney and Drew Dahlman's going to work out. And then the Packers are mixing things up. Elgin Jenkins is now your starting center, which, again, not his natural position. You have Aaron Banks in free agency. It's very strange that all 3 of them seem to be going through this transition all at the same time. But I think the bigger picture here too, though, is like all these offensive lines could be really good. I feel like the ceiling for all 4 of these units is top 10. Like, it would not shock me if the NFC North came away with 4 top 10 offensive linemen.
Oh man, yeah, that's a wow. I can believe it. I can buy it after this discussion.
Well, and I was gonna say, like, Jeremy, that kind of leads into what you were saying about the PFF rankings, where like they have the NFC North at least every team in the top 15 at the very least.
Yeah.
So even with losing a Frank Ragnow, even with losing a Kevin Zeitler, like they don't have the Lions dropping that far down their ranking list. So I think that's also very telling as well.
Yeah. But Bears at 4. Can we all agree that's a little extreme?
That's just pipe dreams. You know what I mean? That's the definition of free agency hype.
Right.
Off-season hype.
The Bears winning the offseason yet again.
I was gonna say that sounds like getting high on your own supply.
That's right.
PFF touting their own metrics a little too highly and just being like, no, it's got to be the Bears, and it's like, no, there's so many questions about that offensive line.
Right.
So many.
It almost feels like Madden, where it's just like this guy has a 98 rating. If we just throw him here, he's going to be great. Like, okay, but you have to actually put it into perspective of new scheme, new teammates, all those things. Like, the Bears did well for themselves. Don't get me wrong. I think you couldn't have had a better offensive line offseason.
On paper.
But to expect all of that to click right away, I think is a little bit ridiculous considering how much offensive line play is about chemistry.
Yeah. I want to say real quick, Miko, the end of that Bears paragraph that they have on the list of their offensive line rankings where they have them ranked 4th. It's like, all right, like I buy the Braxton Jones and the Darnell Wright stuff. And then it's like they picked up, Tooney from the Chiefs. Mm-hmm. And then and then they got Drew Dahlman. And the last line is, if right guard Jonah Jackson can stay healthy and get back to his old form, this can be one of the NFL's top offensive lines. And it's like a little bit of the Tobias Funke, like it did work out for the Rams.
But it could work.
And it started to fall off for the Lions, but it could work out for us. And it's like, it's a big if. Like, I don't think the Rams would have moved on from Jonah Jackson too.
He was a disaster. He was a disaster in LA.
Right. Like an unmitigated disaster, a huge price tag.
Yep. And
like the dead cap incurred on that, I'm not entirely sure what it was, but it couldn't have been good. No, it was after one season.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't think, Miko, that they're just going to give up on Jonah Jackson and all of a sudden he's going to be the best version of himself in Chicago.
I'm still so curious on what happened in LA because, like, I understood the Lions moving on from Jonah at the end of that season because it's just like, okay, like you have the opportunity to get a Kevin Zeitler. Kevin Zeitler is a much better player at that stage in his career than what Jonah has been, and obviously the price tag. Jonah going to LA and then being like center, and you're just like, hey, he's never done that.
He's center, but in training camp, like there was signs things were not going as planned before the guy had even taken a snap.
And so there's a level of that, Ryan, for me, where it's like, how much of the fact that they really wanted him to play center and they realized once they got him in camp, like, oh, he can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That it was like, it's better for us to cut bait.
He did have the injury. He did have the injury too. Yep. Like it was like a freak accident, kind of like Marcus Davenport. But his was, I think it was like a shoulder blade injury. Like it was like a freak accident that happened in practice and that set him back.
Right.
But to that point, you have all of this new stuff going on in the division where it's like, you need that time in training camp to gel. You need that time in the preseason to like, and that's another thing with the Bears. Like, are you going to throw out a veteran, group in the middle with the Vikings? Are you going to throw out that veteran group in the middle during the preseason to get live reps? How many of them are getting joint practices? Like, it's all stuff where like we talk about offensive line chemistry so much and how important that is, and that's really going to be tested in the NFC North early on.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Is that the first show?
Well, I think that's.
I was gonna say.
I think we did it.
I'm proud of me.
Are you fishing for compliments right now?
I mean, I got it. At least in the beginning, right? Because at this point in time, I can set a good baseline, and then we can kind of build from here. But
Absolutely.
No, this was really good conversation, guys. Again, I think when we talk about this division and we talk about this specific position group, it's one of the ones to really keep an eye on this off season or going into the season, because I think it really could have a big impact on, honestly, like the final rankings. Whichever offensive line can be the most consistent is probably going a good ways of getting their team to be one of the top teams in the division. But really appreciate everyone for taking the time to listen to this podcast episode. And yeah, I'm Miko.
I'm Jeremy.
And I'm Ryan.
Thank you guys for taking the time to catch up with us, and we will make sure to get you guys in the next one.
Recording stopped.
There we go. We are still live, Miko. It's been a while since you've been on one of the live shows, so.
Nope, I'm good. Listen, I will clean up the outro, guys. It is.
Hey, you have to. You do your own outros for the YouTube. If you want to just carry that over to this one, that works. If you need to find your own it doesn't need to be a catchphrase. Like Chris and myself have catchphrases, but I don't know. It almost feels hokey at times.
I was gonna say, I feel like if I come up with a catchphrase, I feel like I'm just like trying to jump on a bandwagon
right.
that doesn't quite have room for it. But no, we'll get better with it.
It's all good, man. Appreciate that, Aaron. Thanks for passing along the message there. Todd, thank you for subscribing over on YouTube, and that's the only alert we had there. So,
hey, I mean, if you were fishing for compliments, though, there are a lot of like, Miko is awesome. I love having Miko here. Well done, sure. Miko. There are a lot of people that are super supportive, and like, Rome wasn't built in a day.
Yeah,
we just spent an entire segment talking about offensive line chemistry.
I was gonna say
that's not easing you in. That is throwing you into the deep end.
You are Tate Ratledge with no center snaps. Week 1. Go.
To be fair, that is what I asked for, and I got it, and it didn't dawn on me until we were getting to the end, and I'm like, oh, this is the one part of the show I had not.
It come across my head at one point too. It's like, I don't know how. I wonder how he's gonna get out of this. The one thing I do want to let people know, and sometimes we do this in the show, sometimes we don't. It's just kind of like talking about the week ahead with the podcast. And I only want to bring it up because it's going to be a little bit irregular in the next week and a day here. Because we realized we wanted to do list casting of the defense too a little bit, yet training camp is less than 2 weeks away. So if we were just to wait until Monday's show, which is actually going to be Tuesday's show, we wouldn't be able to list cast. We'd just be previewing training camp. So we haven't quite decided on the days and finalized that, but I think we're going to try to fit in 2 POD casts over the next week. One is definitely going to be next Tuesday, and I think the early plans is for that to be the training camp preview podcast, but I think we're going to do another POD cast probably before then that is going to be a list cast. First segment, probably the front 7. Second segment, the back, the secondary, the defensive backs. So you'll get a double dose of POD cast this week. Plus midweek mailbag. Haven't decided quite on a day, but if I had to guess, that's going to be like a Wednesday or Thursday night thing. I think that's it.
Yeah.
First bite, I think not happening.
I have an update for you on that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. By then, I'll figure out how to say Will Fry's name and Joe Tooney's name.
It's my fault on Fry's. I'm going to take responsibility because I actually looked it up right before the podcast. I'm like, should I put the phonetic thing in the rundown? I'm like, well, it looks how it spells, so I guess I won't.
I feel like almost nobody goes by Fries though. I feel like it's usually Freeze.
I was 100% certain it was Freeze, and then I just like looked at an interview of like a Colts reporter talking to him and said Fries. I'm like, oh, that's surprising, and then I didn't tell you.
Yeah, I'm not.
So
I'm not gonna lie. When you said Freeze, I was like, oh, now I don't know how to.
Is it Thuney or Tooney? Because I just went with you on that one.
No, it's Tooney, and I definitely read it, and I think about President Jack Tunney, who he was like the on-screen president of the WWF back in the day. So like I always pronounced it that way. So
yeah,
it's Joe Tooney.
Okay,
which would be easy to remember from now on.
For sure,
like Looney Tunes.
I was gonna say that's one that I've heard enough times where it's like, oh no, I know I'm fairly confident it's Tooney.
Yeah, you should have corrected me, even though it was the first show. Just
wait, like, didn't you say Tooney? Did you say Tooney?
I thought you said.
I think I said Tunney.
Oh,
maybe. You did.
I think most of the time you said Tooney.
Good. Well,
Yeah.
cool.
Because that's what I heard, and that's what I'm like, oh, he I wouldn't have pronounced it that if I was just looking at it, so he must know. Dan, Tate Ratledge was the draft prospect that stood up for was it Stetson Bennett? Is that right? I think that's right.
Yeah.
No,
Carson Beck.
Carson
right.
Beck. Yeah.
Carson Beck.
Yep.
Yes.
Wrong Georgia quarterback. Stetson Bennett is who
He's
Eric
that's
thinks
right.
will be working at one of the establishments that we talked
He's
about.
the one that
during
doesn't
the
deserve to
break.
get stood up for.
I didn't want to say Dank Ample. It is weird being on camera without Morgan either, but I just found out this week Morgan will be back, so we'll be back to making YouTube videos.
Is he already coming back? That crazy man.
Yeah, he messaged me over the weekend and he was
He's
like,
just like,
I got the itch.
Oh, it's a good dude.
So yeah,
He probably texted you while he was like actually feeling awake though. Maybe he felt like re-energized.
I'm gonna have to ask him again, like, hey, you down
Are
to
you
do a
sure?
video tomorrow?
Yeah. See how that baby
man.
sleeps and then you'll know.
Having kids also like immediately lets you know that you like need a break from something. Like you'll find any escape that you can once you start having kids to be like just to feel a semblance of normal.
Yeah.
I do all the grocery shopping in our house for that exact reason.
Just to get out of the house.
Like I'll like underbuy something so I know that I like, oh, I got to run out and get that. Like we don't have enough milk. Like that's essential. Like we need that.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Yeah. So
AA batteries for your mouse. Got to go get it.
yeah.
It has to happen right now.
Order food to go. You know what I mean? But like
Yeah.
get there in enough time to have a drink at the bar.
Sit there for 30 minutes and just stare at nothingness.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you do it under the guise of you're saving. We don't have to pay for delivery. This is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be fresh. I'm going to get there, you know.
Ryan, I don't know how you're handling summer vacation right now, but like I came home today. This was like the first day I was actually irritated, like a little bit. I came home at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon to finish up the work day. And like I text my wife on my way home. I'm like, hey, like what do the girls want for dinner? Maybe I can stop at the store and grab stuff that they can have dinner. And she's like, oh, they're still asleep. I was like, you gotta be kidding me.
Okay.
To be a kid again.
And
Dear
isn't
Lord.
that such a would 15-year-old Miko be mad at this?
It wasn't like, yeah, it's like,
It's just a getting old thing.
Well, because you're like, bro, I've been working.
Right. Yeah. Like I've been pulling my weight.
My
like,
workday is over and you're just waking up?
This is the midpoint of my workday. Like I came home and my mother-in-law comes over. Shout out to my mother-in-law because she comes over on Mondays to hang out with the kids. So it gives Kalila like a break to be able to focus more on work and stuff like that. And she had pulled up like right behind me. And I went into my daughter's room and I was like, get up, you lazy bum. I was like, there's no way. There's no way.
just knock on that door and be like, oh, I didn't know you were working third shift tonight. Like that's strange.
Bro, and it's like we all went to bed at the same time last night. It's not even like one of those situations where like, oh, you guys were up later than me. Like everybody clocked out at the same time. Why are you still sleeping?
Yeah, I definitely see myself. I'm going to get angry with that. But like my kids still get up at 7 a.m. So like that's and it's not like I can sleep in really. Like it's like not a thing I can really do anymore. But it would just be nice if Teddy didn't wake up at 6:45. You know what I mean? Like it'd be nice if like just let me sleep in because it's summer break.
The olders will get there pretty soon, I think. I feel like they're close to the age of like 10.
They're 8 and 7, yeah. So they're gonna be 9 and 8.
Yeah.
Like so, like we're entering the realm where like there might be some more sleeping in, but yeah, summer vacation is nice until it's not nice, right?
Oh yeah, it's nice until like, well, I mean, again, this is more so my wife's complaint because apparently I'm invisible in this house. It's nice until someone starts needing snacks every like half an hour. So yeah,
Snacks.
The POD crew, I'm just now realizing like a lot of girl dadding happening with the POD crew.
Yeah. Yes.
Majority
Yeah.
POD dadding or girl dadding.
I'm
yeah.
Am I the only one with a boy?
Morgan's is a girl, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's wild.
A lot of girls.
The
Zack
I
Snyder,
will.
girls, right?
I think so.
We're outing ourselves on how little
How
we
well
know
we know
about our
ours.
staff.
Doesn't Ty have a boy?
I think Ty has a boy and a girl. I think. Oh boy. Ty, if you're watching, I'm sorry.
Yes, we're gonna count. We're gonna count.
My dog?
Yeah.
Boy.
Yeah.
We got one.
I will say having girls, and obviously, right, I know it's probably a little different for you, but like having girls made me very well aware I could not have had a boy.
Oh yeah.
'Cause, like my girls are so well behaved where it's like I see like my nephew or like my uncle's kids who are like around the same age, and I'm like, bro, I don't know if I could have survived. Like boys are just on a completely different like mindset, different level, different like mannerisms, and like I don't know. I'm like girls are so much easier.
Yeah. I know Eric feels the same way with his 3 girls. But I don't know, you're the only one that can that you know, you're
right now
you're
can
a study
speak to this.
Yeah, you're a study that has the control group.
I was gonna say because I have a 13-year-old and an 8-year-old, and they're fantastic. I don't deserve.
Until that monkey paw curls and like 2 teenagers in the house will happen at some point, right?
Oh yeah, that's probably where things are gonna get like,
Yeah.
like when they're 13 and 18, and it's like, uh, that's when I'll probably start pulling the Ryan and being like, I'm going to the store, and then I go like 3 cities over. Like, technically, I did go to Kroger, I just didn't go to the one that was around the corner.
right. Like, look, the receipt and the bags. Teddy, like the thing that's so interesting about Teddy is that like I think it truly is like a boy thing where he gets these like he just gets like these like I don't know if it's just like surges in testosterone or something. And like it's like like I don't feel like he can control it. Like he can't regulate it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't want to do it on air because it'll look insane. But like
Not gonna want you to do it.
he's just like he'll get charged up. Like he'll get so charged up. And it's like I never saw the girls do that ever.
Yeah.
Like and you know, I came into Molly's life when she was 3 and Liv was 2. So like I've seen them at the same age that Teddy is, and it's like I never saw you do these things. Like it has to be like biological. Like it has to be just like something about your who you are kind of thing. I don't know.
By the way, you got someone in the chat that's tattling on you, Ryan. Mithrander says, noted Ryan, I will let Amanda know about the extra grocery trips.
Snitches get stitches around these parts.
You know who that is, right?
I don't. Should I know who that is?
It's Morgan.
Oh,
Thanks,
okay.
Morgan.
That is. I thought maybe that was Morgan.
Oh man.
Nick the Greek with 100 bits drinking a beer in Traverse City, Michigan right now took my toddler cherry picking. The state is beautiful in the summer. That's the most wholesome Nick the Greek.
Yeah. What?
Tell us that you've been kidnapped without being kidnapped.
Yeah, right.
Are you
He's
okay,
in Traverse City.
My
POD
buddy,
search party.
My buddy just won a cherry pit spitting contest in Traverse City, which is something that means a lot to him because he's kind of a weird guy, but in a good way.
Like they measure that by just pure distance.
Yeah, I think you have to like hit a certain narrow strip. Like if you go too far to one side.
So is it like shot put? Like you can't throw it outside the line?
Yeah, something like that. I think. I don't know. He sent me a Marco Polo, and it's hard to know. I don't know the nuances of a cherry pit spinning contest.
What's a good score?
Do you know? That I also don't know. I think
I was gonna say like
40 some inches, 50 some inches. That sounds right. Like 4 feet, 5 feet.
No.
Maybe that doesn't. No, it's got to be more than that. I don't know.
No, I was gonna say I'll go to Kroger tonight let Amanda know I'm making an extra trip because I was
after we go to
challenged.
rallies.
Yeah, and I'll just start spitting cherry pits. I kind of want to know what I can do now.
Right?
I was gonna say like, I don't. How do you how do you train for that?
I hear the like pneumonic tube with your tongue is the best. Like you do like that. You gotta curl the tongue.
According to the Guinness Book of World Records, the record distance is 95 feet, 6.5 inches.
Maybe I was in meters. Maybe that's why, like 30 to 40 meters.
There's no way you thought meters. No one in the U.S. thinks meters first.
But maybe they measure it in meters. No, that can't be true either.
In Michigan?
Yeah, no.
I can just imagine like walking by like whatever like event that you're at, and you're just seeing like dudes just hawk cherry pits across the field. Like,
all right. Well, here's something that's impressive though. Like when you do the equivalent to that, like 95 feet is 31 yards. That's like a bomb that's like a really impressive throw from Jared Goff.
What? 30 yards? Come on.
We know how we feel about Jared Goff.
I know how you feel about Jared Goff. Don't say we.
Okay, I forgot. We're back to not having fun on the podcast.
Okay.
oh man,
31 yards is a rope though. Like that thing has traveled the distance.
Yeah.
Like I wonder like how much like body English you're putting into that. Like, is it just like
can you get a running start?
Like what's the rules on that?
It has to be like a. You have to get like a. You have to go back to go forward. Yeah.
I question like arc. Like, how much arc do you need? There's obviously too much arc.
There's also too little arc.
Yeah.
I'm also curious on like, because again, Ryan, you would know like as like a track coach, like obviously when you like measure a long jump, like you measure like the indent from like wherever the heel is. So like how do you do that with a cherry pit? Like,
do you get the roll? I don't know if you get the roll.
Do you get the roll?
Right.
Is it marked by the saliva?
It's just the impact.
Are all the cherry pits the same size? Like,
are they spitting into like sand so they can clearly like see where it lands?
No, I don't think so.
So somebody's just coming out and marking this? I would inflate the numbers.
What do you mean?
I would inflate the numbers and make people feel better about themselves. Like if it's all like spotting and marking.
Yeah.
Someone's getting paid off. Yeah, like someone's getting like a 20 like on the side.
You just do it on like, a decline so that everyone is just like getting a bunch of roll.
Well, because it's also a cherry pit. Like, could you imagine like someone's just like stepping on yours and like dropping another one out the pocket? Like, no one's gonna see that.
It's pretty cool. Like with shot put at the high school, they have a laser system. So like they have a board. They have a it's just like a board that we like screwed a handle into, but like you just go and put it at like where the shot like met the ground, and you stick it in the ground, and then the laser tells you like the exact measurement of it. Versus like there are a lot of people that still do old school, like they have the tape measure and then they run the tape measure out and like mark it and everything.
That's how they did it back in my day.
Yeah.
Like how I would know myself. Do they have a chain gang in spitting, or are they doing laser measurements?
They have to be able to put a chip inside the pit at this point, right?
That's right.
Oh man.
Of all the things I thought I was going to talk about on my first podcast.
When I brought that up, I did not think that was going to lead to 5 minutes of conversation.
It's the off season, man. There's nothing like there's no real news.
It's true.
And we just all had a lot of questions.
Yeah. And I had very few answers.
And the only thing you brought to us was like, I had a really good friend who did well at this pit spitting contest.
Yeah. Well, just another reason to go up to Traverse City. Check it out. They love all the tourism.
Yeah.
The locals love it.
I still haven't been.
Really?
Can't get enough of it, I'm sure.
It actually is really, really nice. I've only been once.
I was gonna say I'm a little concerned because it's one of those places that gets talked about so much that you almost start to feel like it's a little cultish.
Yeah. There's and I feel like people might treat it like it's the only place up north and on the West Coast that's really nice. Like there's a ton. And
dude, there's Manistee.
I need to check them all out because my Michigan geography and experiences are way too small for a 39-year-old.
Remember it was the list cast we did last week.
Oh,
It
right.
was like
Yeah, we
top
talked about this.
5 like vacation cities in Michigan.
And we're all just like, oh.
Yeah,
I was right there with you guys. I was like, dude, I ain't been nowhere. Grand Rapids.
Well, that's why we're doing the podcast on Tuesdays, because these guys are accommodating for my like one vacation I take a year. Sunday
where?
Sunday to Tuesday morning, go to Bel Air, which is like right next to Torch Lake.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say Jeremy would have had a chance to go to basically Traverse City, except 40 minutes more north. It's my wedding in Northport.
Still twisting that knife. We get it. I'm a bad friend. Phenoms Wow, thank you for the 18 months. Says 2 babies worth. Be sure to check out the latest Mina Kimes episode with Dan Orlovsky, where they talk about what modern offenses are doing and what defenses need to adjust in order to stop it. Hint: Dan's been building that way.
Is there a bad food take in there? Because if there is, I don't want to watch it.
I mean, it's a Dan Orlovsky podcast. It has to have come up, right?
I only eat the peanut butter in a Reese's cup. Okay, sure you do.
Like, when we played that video on stream, it horrified people. And rightfully so.
It looked like an animal that was like mutilating
It's
something.
not even good peanut butter. Like, it's
No.
okay peanut butter.
Thank you.
But like, the only reason Reese's are so good is because it combines chocolate and peanut butter, which is an elite combo. But it's like, it's mid chocolate and it's mid peanut butter.
Phenom Wow, I'll trust you on this one. If I come across a bad food take, next podcast we're having words.
That's just what the breaks have turned into, is like mostly food talk.
Yeah. Because, I mean, we do these at like 6 o'clock, and I'm just like,
Hungry.
I'm hungry. I'm hungry as hell.
That was like, so that was the other thing that, like, so obviously I was telling you guys, like, I was going to the gym, and then like on my way home I was like, oh wait, I don't get to eat after this.
Right.
Like I'm gonna be starving.
Ooh,
I
that's tough.
I still have to figure out which one I prefer. If we're doing like a 6 p.m., do I prefer like a little 5:30 dinner, or do I prefer an 8:30 dinner? And I don't know the answer to that question yet. I think I'm generally more of a 5:30 guy than an 8:30 guy.
So once this gets to end season,
Yeah.
and if we're doing these on Sunday, like it'll be much like whatever, because like I eat whenever on the weekend.
Yeah.
But like on Mondays, like this is gonna drive my wife crazy. She likes to like cook dinner at a certain time.
Yeah.
And like to be transparent, like Morgan and I used to record our videos like around the same time that you guys would start.
Yeah.
And she used to get frustrated with me when I'm like, I gotta do this video with Morgan before I can eat. And she'd be like, I have fresh food here.
Well, that's always the trick, is like, how often do the Lions play where we, like, that's a fun game to play, is like, how many times are we going to actually record on Sunday?
Right. Because
That's true.
in addition to like having all of the PM games, the home games are the only time they have 1 PM games, and I'm going to be late for those. Like I usually get home right as the 4 PM games are finishing, so like 7:30. So you know, those are going to be tough to do before then.
Yeah, like any like Lions primetime home game is going to be the next day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yay, good team, primetime games.
I miss 1 o'clock Sundays. I just knew what I was doing. 1 o'clock Sunday, I knew what I was doing.
Yeah, and I could theoretically be done with my work by like 7. That's cool. Never happening again.
I think
Yeah.
Over the course of last season, Miko, what day became the most annoying day to watch football?
I don't think it's like any different than any other year. It's Thursday, right?
Yeah, Thursdays are the worst.
Yeah.
I hate Thursdays. Thursdays are the worst.
It like because like it throws off everything.
Everything.
Like from a fan's perspective, like it's tough to like get into the mood of watching football because you still got to work the next day. Like, but then like from a content creation standpoint, Like, bro, Morgan and I have to do film reviews literally on Tuesday, and that's usually again
Right.
peek behind the curtain for people who don't know like how me and Morgan typically do like YouTube stuff. That's usually a 2-day process for us to like look at film, like
Identify the plays you want to talk about. Yeah.
right. And I'm not saying this just because he's in the chat. Morgan's always way more prepared than I am, like in terms of like actual like detailed notes on like everything that transpires. But like yeah, like you have a Thursday game and it's like, hey, Morgan, we gotta do our recap from Sunday's game on Monday so that that can get published on Tuesday, and then on Tuesday we gotta do film study so that that can be ready for Wednesday because the game is on Thursday and no one's gonna watch a YouTube video on Thursday when the Lions play that same day.
Right. Yeah. It is kind of nice to have like the extended weekend though, after a Thursday game. Like that is like I feel like the only time during the season I have time off is after a Thursday game.
Yeah,
True.
Yeah, but when
And
the
also,
Lions lose that Thursday game, it makes it a long week.
And also when they've done this now two back to back year, when it's a Thursday to Thursday, you don't have that because then your Monday is Saturday and it's like
your normal cycle. Yeah, right.
It's just like, oh shit.
Yeah, just the best part though, if there is a silver lining to the Lions playing less on Sunday at like that 1:00 spot, it's that when they don't play on Sunday, I can just red zone.
Yes.
Like just let it all wash over me. I can watch football without a horse in the race.
I do feel like I watched
all day long
more NFL games than ever last year.
Yeah.
Because there were so many open Sundays. Or at least Sunday
That is
afternoons.
one thing that's one thing I have to figure out this year because we switched up our cable package because I just didn't want to pay a ton of money. And me not having foresight into that was like, oh wait, I just lost all my sports channels because Comcast sucks and their term of basic is like, wait, what do you mean I don't get Fox and ABC and like I can't get that stuff?
Unreal.
So yeah.
NFL Plus will give you Red Zone. Yeah, NFL Plus gives you Red Zone, right?
I think so.
Yeah, because I've been trying to figure it out. Because like I don't need, this old man talk. I don't need the other channels, right? Like I have every streaming service I possibly could use to watch the things that I want to watch. I don't need cable. Like I truly don't.
I cut YouTube TV last month. I might get it back again for the regular season, but
yeah.
Now I have to subscribe to Netflix. Oh, tomorrow is Netflix quarterback?
No, I think wasn't it today?
No, I think it's the 8th. I didn't realize it was that close.
Somebody already had a review of it up.
It is the 8th. Shit. I gotta start preparing for that. Like, we should have content on that. And I didn't even think about it.
Oh, full transparency. I'm going on the Talking Grit Guys show tomorrow, and they're like, hey, are you going to have like all of Quarterback Season 2 watched? And I was like, when does that come out?
No, it's tomorrow.
Is that the plan to like whatever piece of content we put out is for the entire?
I don't know. Like last year I just skimmed to the I'm on our parts and I think I wrote I wrote a newser on the like foot and mouth disease thing because I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is like this is
gnarly.
Unbelievable and gnarly.
Yeah.
And yeah. So like I feel like if there's any newsworthy things, buzzworthy things, you probably write something like that. I think we tried to do like an episode by episode recap, but I don't think we ever got through all of them.
Yeah, because I didn't end up doing the same thing that you did and like just jumping to all the and all parts. Yeah, that's what Morgan and I kind of talked about.
Yeah.
But
shit, I forgot that was dropping. I just looked at the calendar. I'm just like, oh.
Well, you can start watching it at 3 a.m. apparently.
No,
is when it drops.
I won't be doing that.
You don't want to do that? You'll be first to say everything on Twitter.
I don't care. I barely.
What is the likelihood?
It's been great.
What is the likelihood you think like anything like noteworthy gets?
Was Jared Goff?
I read a review.
Small.
I read a review of somebody who's seen all 8 episodes, and they said that Jared Goff was the most interesting subplot.
Really?
Yeah.
I think that might say more about Joe Burrow than it says anything else.
From the snippet of like what highlighted it, it's like him and his relationship with his wife,
Yeah.
and also like the amount of interactions they show between Jared Goff and Dan Campbell,
Hmm. That
like
might be
behind the
worth it.
scenes
Yeah.
stuff, which I mean we don't like get a whole lot of
No.
them kind of talking about one another, I don't think. Do you know what I mean? Like I feel like it might be a little bit more hyper focused in other places,
Yeah.
like when you like Joe Burrow or Patrick Mahomes and like those head coaches constantly like commenting on their quarterback, but like I feel like there's a lot of rub and like attention paid in other places, you know?
Yeah.
Like Amon Ra is incredible. Wow, fourth round pick. Your offensive line is so great.
Yeah. I mean, Dan Campbell's just answered so many questions about Jared Goff at this point that like no one's bothering to ask him anymore, right?
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, like, yeah, like I think any question that you pose about Jared at this point, you almost like telling yourself and like, oh, so you just still don't believe in him.
Right. Right.
It's like you're gonna ask Dan about that. Like like your the underlying part of your question is like, do you believe in Jared Goff? And like Dan Campbell's gonna be like, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like I was shocked because I was like, how much is there going to be to learn about Jared Goff, who seems to be the most milquetoast quarterback in the NFC North?
I'm sending a message to our Slack to see if anyone wants to cover it.
It's not exactly Dancing with the Stars, and when I covered it when Calvin Johnson was on.
I forgot about that.
Jared does like strike me as like the former NFL player that'll just pop up on some random like competition show, and it's just like I didn't even know Jared had an interest in this.
Right. No, I don't have any inside information on Inside the Den to the people that are asking, other than, it dropped like mid to late July one year. It dropped, I think, mid-June one year. So we're kind of in that window where it could come at any time.
So, question about that.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that the interest in Inside the Den, like, has this been like consistent like ever since they've had it, or do you think it's like it's riding the waves off of like that? I can't remember which off season it was, but I feel like there was one off season where it was just it was the Penei Sewell draft.
Yeah.
Where it was just like super in depth into like everything that Brad and Dan were doing that off season. And I feel like people are like expecting that still.
Yeah.
Like in every single episode that drops. And it just
the draft episode, they're obviously the favorites, right? Like it's something that every team is doing now, is the behind the scenes stuff. And to me, that's always been the most interesting stuff that they do, just because it's, I don't know, like that's always been one of the bigger mysteries, I think, in football. It's like, what happens in those war rooms? We never get to see it. We never get access to it. It's still like sanitized, right? Like we're never going to see Brad Holmes go, dang it, the Vikings took our guy. Like, and that's kind of a bummer. So there's always still going to be that cloak of secrecy, but, even seeing Brad in 2021 assure Sheila, like, don't worry, we got this USC guy. We're confident. Don't worry that we haven't taken a wide receiver. We like this USC guy. He might be there. Just like, that's crazy.
Yeah, I just feel like, and again, hopefully that nobody takes this wrong. I feel like people get super hyped up for Inside the Den still, and it's just like, nah, I don't really need I don't really need a montage of like, everyone going through OTAs.
Right. Like, that's fair.
Can we just get to training camp?
I mean, Hard Knocks probably too helped with hype too, getting all the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, that progression from like just like the 2021 season with Hard Knocks, and then 2022 and the way it ended. You know what I mean? Like it felt like the team had built up so much hype at that point.
Yeah.
And then the Inside the Den for 2023 was probably the most interesting to me.
For the draft?
Yeah. The draft.
Yeah.
And like it was the one where it was very much like Brad's like, okay, like trust me, I know what I'm doing, guys.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, like I'm gonna like I get to like know a little bit more about like all the rationale with like the picks, and like seeing the best part of it though is undeniably the combine interviews. Yeah. Right? Like that's like one of my favorite parts.
Yep.
Is they give you that little they get like 5, 6, 7, how long do they get? Like their interviews are so like
Usually 50, I think it's 15.
Is it 15 minutes they
Yeah,
get? And
something
like
like
you
that.
see the TV that like has the timer
number,
on it,
just a
you know
big
what I mean?
number on it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, yeah, this is cool.
Karen, I believe Hard Knocks is on Max. Last I checked.
HBO Max.
Yeah. Oh, wait,
Yes.
I'm sorry. It's HBO Max.
Gotta go back.
Yeah, I was gonna say, for those of us that are old enough to remember.
I think maybe one of the best things that One Pride production has done that goes a little overlooked, and I know Eric Schlitt will back me up on this, but their extended sights and sounds of the Week 18 game against the Lions and Packers in 2022 is a freaking movie. It is so good, and I'm literally getting chills just thinking about it. That is something that I think I am going to continue to watch right before Week 1 every single year. It used to be the Matthew Stafford game, the shoulder separation game, mic'd up thing. That has replaced it to me. And yeah, I believe Decker was mic'd up for it. It is so good. Like, part of it is just like the aura of Lambeau, night game, lights. Like, it is just, it looks cinematic. It's so good.
Yeah, I don't know if this is hot takey. I think Sight and Sounds is kind of better than Insight. Like, at least for me, like, I get more out of it because that's such an element of the game that we just don't.
I do love mic'd up segments. I just think, like, again, it sometimes feels a little bit too sanitized with the lines. Like, they're not going to show that much emotion from the players.
Yeah, I think you need the right guy mic'd up.
Yeah,
and it's
you do.
like whenever Panay's like mic'd up, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be good.
Yeah. I wonder if I can find that.
Like, no offense at all, but like Jack Campbell mic'd up is probably going to happen.
You're wasting everybody's time.
And it's like, what? I mean, the most
Jack
interesting
is the
parts will
linebacker
be
version
who
of
is he
Calvin.
interacting with.
Like, yeah, I feel like Jack has gotten to like he's like Calvin-esque in that regard, where it's like he just goes out there and plays.
Yeah,
Doesn't say anything to anyone.
Just laser focused. Yeah, it's yeah, those sights and sounds are really good.
You know what's better than that, though?
I approach a patient.
Righteous Felon Craft Jerky.
No. Calls of the game.
Okay, so that's what I wanted
okay.
to say when you said, hey, before Week 1, I'm just going to watch Sights and Sounds from 2022. I want to listen to
The speech?
Dan Miller talk about getting comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yes, the pre-Minnesota Vikings speech in 2023.
2022.
Was it 2022?
Yep.
Where they came in as favorites above the Vikings, despite the fact that the Vikings were like 12-2 at the time or something crazy.
Yeah, the Panay Sewell catch.
That's right.
J-Mo's 42-yard touchdown catch.
That is an iconic.
His only catch of that season?
His only touchdown catch. Wait, no, I'm thinking of a different. Sorry. Whose catch? Did I miss something? What's happening?
Jamison Williams in 2022. He has that bomb that he catches.
Right.
He caught one pass for 41 yards and it was a touchdown.
I forgot about that fun statistical anomaly.
Yeah, because he had that play and then he had the run against the Bears, the end around. That was 40 yards.
Yes, that's right.
He had two plays for
2 explosives.
for 81 yards.
Yeah.
And like Phenom said in the chat, like he did have that flea flicker, but that got called back.
He did.
I forgot about that.
That's right.
Do you remember back in the day, Ryan, when we were so enamored with calls of the game that we would put together a radio, like links to audio?
Yes.
And that they never did that well, but I'm like, this is what I would want if I'm consuming Lions content. I want clips of Dan Miller doing the best plays, and I'm just gonna pat myself on the back and say, like, sights and sounds would not, or calls of the game would not exist without us.
Oh wow.
I'm gonna say that, knowing that like every team does this now, and it definitely was not our original idea, but I'm just gonna take credit for it.
Jeremy has the recording room in Allen Park, and now he's trying to take like the whole media department.
That's right.
Right. It has nothing to do with Dan and his amazing ability to call
Well, no,
plays.
I recognized the marketability of all that. Miko.
You found a new market
Yes.
to tap into that was previously okay. I got it. I understand. You're ridiculous.
Who
I will say,
was the
like,
first team to put like the GoPro right there though? Because they're really the ones that deserve the pat on the
revolutionary,
backs.
right?
Yeah.
Because I had no idea that there was a guy in the booth that was pointing at numbers and players' names to help Dan. You know, like the spotter that's in the booth with them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I just learned so much from having that GoPro camera there.
Sorry, I got distracted because someone said Hard Knocks is not on Max. I just watched it like 2 months ago, or at least saw that it was somewhere, and I think I'm realizing that is also NFL Pro. So if you have an NFL
Or NFL
Pro,
Plus.
NFL Plus, whatever
Yeah.
it's called, yeah, NFL Plus, NFL, yeah. If you have that subscription, I believe you can get it.
Oh, that's where Hard Knocks lives now?
Yeah, because like NFL Plus gives you access to live NFL Network and a bunch of their shows. And I believe I'm gonna look right now. I don't know if I'm logged in or not on this computer because it's been a while since I've used NFL Plus, but I think you can. There's Hard Knocks, Dolphins.
Did we figure out who? Oh, Hard Knocks this year. Is it the NFC East?
That sounds right.
The entire for the division it is, and then
For the training
team is
camp
the
is the
Bills.
Bills.
Keon Coleman's going to be freaking hilarious.
I'm gonna be intrigued to watch. I'll watch.
Hard Knocks, Detroit Lions, available on NFL Plus. But I'll warn you now, some music is no longer there. I believe they've taken out Metallica in the first episode. I believe they've taken out Aiden Hutchinson's dance to
Billie Jean. Copyright.
Yeah. They're not willing to pay for the rights when it comes to streaming. All right. I think it might be time to get out of here. It's late.
I'm getting Taco Bell.
I might have to go out and get something, which I'm going to regret later.
Go to
Miko,
Checkers.
thanks for coming on, buddy. Thanks for joining us for this ride, man.
Yeah, man. No, excited. Can't wait to have like even more great moments with you guys. So this is gonna be awesome.
For sure. Thanks to everybody who's been hanging out all night. Apparently the Tigers are kicking butt. I keep seeing updates from our chat. Like I said, we'll be live either Wednesday or Thursday, probably night, to do the midweek mailbag, and then Thursday or Friday we might be recording another one of these to finish off Listcast before getting into training camp preview stuff.
Which will be on Tuesday, right?
Tuesday, that's right. Tuesday night, so we won't have a podcast next Monday night. We'll bump that up to Tuesday, but we should have a POD cast in between those two, so you won't miss out on anything. Maybe we'll talk about quarterback if something interesting happens.